Mark. Get set, go!
Hey, creatures in the Houston area, we've got a special treat for you, our friend of the podcast.
We're going straight to the plug. We're going to sell out immediately.
I'm ready. I need those 40 free meals from HelloFresh. I'm broke. Creatures of the Houston area, friend of the podcast, Emma E. Murray, is going to be doing a book reading at the Brazos Bookstore.
That's a book reading, not book burning.
No, we don't do those here. We're pro-book.
Pro-book.
Don't ban anything. October 28th, Saturday at 6:30 p.m., Emma will be reading one of her shorts in the compilation Roadkill Texas Horror by Texas Writers Volume 8, her story called Lonely Death on a Wednesday, 1 p.m. at a motel outside of Marfa.
Wait, that's the whole title? Okay, the book title was too long. Then that story title was too long.
I like all the details up front.
Yeah.
Know what I'm really getting into, so I appreciate
Who,
that.
what, where, when, and why, man. Let me know immediately.
She'll be doing readings, signings, and there'll be a Q&A. Costumes are welcome. Come say hey. Maybe you can even trade a human flesh cookbook recipe with Emma. I guarantee you she's probably tasted human flesh by now. Maybe showing up at a
She's
college.
all talk. She's all talk. We're calling you out.
Found a cadaver at a university and sucked on a dead man's toe.
Who knows?
Something.
Probably.
That, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely that.
That's going to be fun. Go say hey to her if you're in the Houston area, October 28th.
H-Town, what up?
Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast.
A triumphant return to the GraveTalk podcast now that you guys are back.
Yeah, me and John both fell ill,
Whoop.
and we're better now.
Did you just juggalo whoop with the audience? Don't do that.
Hell yeah, man. Magnets.
I do want to compliment you on your pumpkin sweater. That's very
thank you.
theme-oriented for the month.
Yes.
Well, you've got your Texas Chainsaw flannel on.
Well, I wear this every other day, so.
And I've got my Jaws Quint shirt on. Yeah, we're just really festive
If
today.
this were a video podcast, they'd be impressed.
Until they pan up to our faces, and it's all over, boys.
Yeah, true.
Well, we took a couple weeks off due to illness and life in general. We don't normally do that, so I think you guys can forgive us one episode miss here and there. But yeah, we're back.
Nope. Demand retribution. If you see us in the streets, just go hard.
Well, we're at like, what, 200-something episodes?
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah. Go listen to the back catalog. There's
Yeah.
so many.
I know you ain't listened to them all.
Or just give me a call. My personal cell phone number is 512. No, just kidding.
Call in and Garrett will read you a bedtime story.
Call me now.
So what have you guys been up to? It's been a while. I feel rusty at this.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, you guys are just bad at this now.
It's so bad.
All right, hold on. Let's do it this way. John, you watch any good horror movies? You like how I quantified
Yes,
that?
that's good because I've watched a lot of movies. Well, let's see. I watched the new Pet Cemetery.
It's a TV show?
It's a movie.
It's a movie. My roommate
Bloodlines?
turned it off after 30 minutes.
It's not great, but also they must have used like the gaffers from the Game of Thrones finale because it is fucking unseeable. I thought maybe it was my iPad, so I put it on my TV. Equally unseeable.
Is this a Alien versus Predator Requiem
It's
situation?
just so dark. All the night scenes are just like blurs of people, just really crushed.
How do they release a product like that without showing it to somebody and then being like, yeah, that's too dark?
Cinematic intent. I don't know. I don't know. And then they really played up David.
Cinematic intent sounds sinister. I like that.
Then they really played up David Duchovny being in it, and he is for like 10 minutes. So,
Is he the biggest name in the movie?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it was all right. Like, it wasn't a bad movie. It was just badly filmed.
And that's streaming where?
Peacock, Paramount, Paramount. It's on Paramount.
Is it Paramount?
Yeah.
Okay.
What else have I seen? I saw the new Exorcist. I won't spoil
Believer?
too much. Yeah, Believer.
That's our next episode.
Yes.
So we will go more, but you got to tell me, man, is the divisive?
Yeah.
As people are saying it is.
I think I might be the only person in America who likes it.
Okay. All right.
So
I saw a lot of it's okay. That's what I saw a lot of. It wasn't like negative reaction so much. It's just like, it's another one of those.
Let me ask you a question. We'll drop it after this if we need to. Does it bring anything legitimately fresh to the genre?
Well, I mean, I did like that it wasn't just like a Catholic exorcism. They tried to bring in other cultures and things like that. So that was an interesting take on it that I wish more video or movies would explore. So I like that part. But yeah, we can get into that more in our next episode because I feel like it's going to be 2 versus 1 here.
I have one question.
Okay.
And it's the only thing I really want to know about this movie is how much do they masturbate to the original in this one? Do they like raise...
legitimately masturbate?
No.
Oh, okay.
But just like, how
there's masturbation in the original, so I just want to make
course,
sure.
Yeah.
No, not actual, but like, how these movies will go back and act like the original was some amazing holy text?
No, not that much, to be honest. I mean, they bring back, I can't remember her name.
The mother.
The mom, yeah. Kristen, I think, whatever.
Sure.
But like, that's about it. So they reference it, but it's not that big a deal,
Do
to be
they bring
honest.
in Halloween sexy nuns?
No sexy nuns.
All right, I'm out.
Yeah, there is a nun, but not a sexy nun, just a regular nun.
She's got potential.
Yeah.
we can work on it.
All right, so we'll dive into that more next episode.
Yes.
Will John make us a believer? Find out in the next episode of the GraveTalk podcast.
Professional. Love
Like
it.
that? All right.
I'm going to end
My
with
man's been
I
busy.
watched No One Will Save You. That one
Oh,
was on
fuck
Hulu.
no. Don't say anything. I got to talk about that.
Okay. Garrett's going to tell you all about it.
I think we all watched that one.
Yeah.
Our resident I hate gray aliens.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yo, that shit was scary as fuck.
No One Will Save You, streaming now on Hulu.
That's Hulu, yeah.
Alien abduction. We call it abduction movie? Yeah.
Attempted,
Abduction
I
movie.
guess, yeah.
It's almost like a home invasion by gray
Yeah.
aliens.
I hated and loved this movie. It was so well done. Freaked me the hell out.
Their little finger toes?
No.
That was the
God,
best.
dude. Don't even.
It's interesting that they all kind of look the same except for how long their appendages
Yeah.
get. That's the difference.
Loved
There's some
it.
that are sizes of the treetops, and then there's little tiny ones that are like, what are you even doing on this invasion, man? Go back home to the starship,
I really enjoyed this movie. It was a very interesting take on it. I don't want to say fresh because it felt very familiar, but it had a lot of unique style of its own. It really stands out amongst the alien invasion movies, and not since Nope have I been like, oh, that's something interesting.
The visuals on this are top notch. There wasn't at any point was like, that's bad CGI. Like
Yeah.
it was all very believable. There's also not a lick of dialogue in this movie except for like one line of conversation with another human,
Bold
which was
choice,
an interesting
yeah.
choice. But it worked. And this actress, I don't remember her name, but she carries this whole thing. She's like,
She has to. She's
I know.
Yeah.
Dude.
So more or less, this girl has been ostracized by this small town, and she lives out in the woods in this house. For a hobby, she's collecting all these like little miniatures, I guess, building a town.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's supposed to represent the exact town she's in or if she's building her own little play set or whatever.
I think it was, maybe it was like an idealized version
Yeah.
of that town.
And before you know it, the lights are clicking on, the power is out, gray aliens are in the house, and it's just her trying to survive for an hour and a half. And it delves a little bit into the backstory of why she's ostracized. You kind of find out something terrible happened. But yeah, it's 100% worth the watch if you got Hulu. Watch it now.
I also watched VHS 85 on Shudder.
I still have not seen a single one of those.
Dude, they're good, man. I mean, they're anthology flicks. The first one has some really good vignettes. Vignettes, is that what they are? But whatever. Segments, and some of them were so-so. This one, a lot of fun. Definitely some intense scare factor going on. I really enjoyed this one. And you guys know me, like I still get scared by these movies, so I was so glad to see that I was like totally like, in a anthology flick, not like just waiting for it to end and the next one start. I was invested in these stories, so
Good deal.
highly recommended on Shudder.
There was 94, 85. Was there another one too?
Was there VHS and then VHS,
1 and 2.
So yes, there was 4.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 94. I forgot about 94. That's one.
cool. Any other news?
Let's see. Shudder announced that Last Drive-In with Joe Bob is coming back. A little bit different format this time. They're not doing 2 movies every Friday night. It's going to be 1 movie every Friday night, but the season will go on double the length.
Which I'm okay with because half the time I'm already too drunk to finish the second movie. So
As our listeners will know if they follow your tweets on Twitter.
I'm on there. Come over on Twitter and say hi when we're watching Joe Bob.
I'm sorry. X.
Yeah.
X. We do
Oh,
not
I
want to
will-
get sued by
I will never call it
Yeah,
X.
fuck Elon Musk.
That's true.
Elon Musk continues to prove he's the biggest idiot in a room full of idiots. So fuck him and Twitter forever.
Tweet that shit.
I've watched some stuff, but I would rather talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Ed Boon recently tweeted tweeted a picture of a bunch of horror characters.
Ed Boon tweets all sorts of shit. He's the biggest troll in the business.
So I was going to ask, do you think he's actually going to put some horror people in this? Because in the image, he had a check mark next to Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, and he circled Billy the Puppet. He circled Chucky. And I'm wondering, what would that look like if we put Billy the Puppet as a playable character in Mortal Kombat?
Billy won't be it'll be Jigsaw in the pig mask.
That would probably work better.
It'll be Amanda or Jigsaw in the pig mask.
Fuck that. I want a 2-foot puppet. And just fuck it up, Goro.
Billy will be the cameo.
That, or he'd be a special move where he rides on his tricycle and explodes
like
or something.
Yeah, or something like that. So Ed Boon and the Mortal Kombat community has been pretty vocal about the horror DLC characters being the most popular they've ever done. I mean, even more so than Predator and Alien. Like, people loved fucking Freddy and Jason. Like, loved them.
I would like to see a Robert Englund version, because in the one they did in Mortal Kombat 9, it was the remake Freddy.
Well, no, it was faceless. It was nameless. It was just standard.
But it was the art style. In the remake.
It was the art style.
I liked the new style of art. Like,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I want original Robert Englund.
Get more creative with it. Yes.
I mean, they brought in Peter Weller to voice RoboCop. They could literally get Robert Englund to do Freddy in this. You know what I mean?
Well, they had what's his face do. Oh, what the hell? The guy from Predator, Carl Weathers, did the one of voiceover pack.
Sylvester Stallone did Rambo. I mean, they got the money, so he can't cost more than Sylvester Stallone, Robert Englund.
You're probably right on that, yeah.
But no, it would be really awesome if they did bring back the horror characters, because again, they were just such huge fan favorites.
Playing as Leatherface was cool as hell. You had those 3 different versions of Jason. I think they kind of took on different monikers or, different movie versions of
that
themselves.
was the style of the game, though. That had the 3 versions. So,
but Chucky. Chucky is a playable character.
Chucky will work, because think about Farrah Tor. For all my FGC nerds out there, Farrah was a small character. She had Tor with her, which is a big character. But seriously, you just use Chucky as a smaller character, give him a smaller hitbox, make him be able to walk under high projectiles, but give him very good reach with like some of his throws. It could work.
Okay. Well,
so wouldn't it be great to see him jump on someone's back and just stab?
That'd be amazing. I'm looking forward to see what they do with that. I'm not really particularly thrilled with the current first pack of superheroes.
It's just Injustice reskins, man.
Do you want to play as Homelander? You can play as Homelander. It's like, all right, fine, I guess. But I'd rather them do more horror stuff. Okay. Well,
I have been playing a new video game, not a horror one. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Mirage. Thumbs up. I like that.
This dude with his Assassin's Creed.
I fucking love Assassin's Creed, man. Except for Valhalla, that was shit. But
hot takes.
I enjoyed it for about 40 hours, and I was like, wait, there's way too much game here that's boring, and I turned it off.
For Valhalla? Yeah, that one was too big. I did not like that one.
All right. Anything else, Mark?
Nah, that's it for now. Let's get going. We're talking about Saw 10, came out 2023. We know it's Saw 10 and not Saw X, right?
It has to be Saw 10. What the hell would Saw X be?
I don't know.
Socks.
We all went separately to see this in the theater as of today.
Because we're not friends anymore.
We are. We just don't hang out.
Dude, being an adult sucks. It's not like when we were kids. Be like, hey, you want to go see a movie? Yeah, I got nothing going on.
No, it's still that easy, you guys. You just have to commit to doing stuff.
Look, here's the deal, Garrett. It's not that I'm not hanging out with y'all. I'm not hanging out with anybody.
Same.
I'm just at home.
I'm hanging out with my coworkers at work. It sucks.
Man, I feel like the only social one here.
I try.
This one was shot on a budget of $13 million, and as of recording, it's made $38.1, so it's already a success.
Good.
We'll see how far it goes. This was directed by returning director Kevin Greutert. He also directed Saw 3D and Saw 6. He's also the editor here and there. Written by Peter Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg. Peter Goldfinger also directed or wrote one we enjoyed. He did the short for Clown. He didn't do Clown.
Oh, okay.
But he's the one that he wrote apparently Clown was like a commercial fake trailer at some point, and then they made Clown into a full movie. He did the short.
Thank fucking God they did, man. Clown is still an absolute fucking banger, to put it in the words of John.
It's one of the best horror movies nobody saw.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Also, how disappointing for that guy. Look, we like your character, but get fucked. We're going to have a real screenwriter write this.
I think sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he got paid, but...
On Rotten Tomatoes, this is currently the highest rated Saw movie of all time.
Get the fuck out of here.
Let me take a guess. Let's see. What makes it the highest rated?
No, guess your rating number for it, because I don't know what this is. I'm going to say 78.
Oh, I'm guessing 45.
Ooh.
You're both too low. It's sitting at an 82% with the critics,
Wow.
I got a solid B.
90% with the audience.
Audience I expected to be high. Good job, critics.
I do not. Wow. Okay.
To put that into perspective, Saw 1 is at a 50% with the critics, Saw 2 is at a 37%, and Saw 3 is at 30%. And just to get a little more recent movie, Spiral's at a 37. So this one has like almost doubled the next lowest one.
Which is a shame because Spiral is so underrated. I'm sorry. I will take that one to the day I die. I think Spiral is incredibly underrated.
Interestingly about that, this movie, Saw 10, was actually in the process of being written and made whenever Chris Rock pitched Spiral. So they completely halted this one and did his movie.
I'm glad they did. I'm upset that it happened right as the pandemic was hitting because I think if Spiral like had gotten like proper theatrical release without the pandemic,
Yeah.
it would have been a much bigger hit.
I'm sure that made it suffer in the box office.
80%. That is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It's way higher than I expected.
I think part of it too is like critics have come to learn how to review horror. I mean, like a 50% in Saw in 2004 is almost like probably an 80% in 2023.
The critic pool of writers has probably completely changed in the last, 20 years almost since Saw 1 came out?
Definitely.
So they're probably treating them as actual cinema and not already handicapped at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people actually like respect horror now where, you know, even in the early 2000s, still like, man, fuck those garbage movies.
Definitely.
You know?
That's why I thought it was so low. I still thought critics, but good job. Good job.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. That the critics pool would probably definitely change their mindset about horror as a genre.
I mean, you cannot like turn your nose up at horror anymore. They make big bank in the movie theaters. They're big turnouts, you know, for the studios.
And there's some serious artistry in some of the newer horror flicks too.
For sure.
The FX and stuff like that.
I'm sure Siskel and or Ebert are rolling over in their graves.
Yeah, I don't remember how they felt about horror.
They hated it.
Oh.
They hated slashers. They called them teenage dead movies or something like that. And like, the only one they ever said any good words about was the original Halloween.
Mwah,
All
I
right.
get it.
But yeah, they always were railing against horror.
Fair enough.
All right, here's who's in this one. We've got Tobin Bell returning as John Kramer, Shawnee Smith reprising her roles as Amanda Young, and a very obvious 50-year-old woman pretending to be 20-something.
She's wearing a wig, right? Like the worst wig that has ever been on screen.
You know when she put that fucking like bowl cut thing on her head, she's like, really? I got to do this again?
This looked like a high school production wig. Like, what were they doing?
Synnøve Makodi Lund as Cecilia Peterson.
Okay, I saw that name in the credits as the movie was ending, and I was all like, okay, that's got to be her. That's got to be the blonde lady.
Yeah, definitely. Stephen Brand as Parker Sears, Renata Vaca as Gabriella, Joshua Okamoto as Diego, Octavio Hinojosa as Mateo, Paulette Hernandez as Valentina, Jorge Brazinho as Carlos, and Costas Mandalore. That's such an interesting name.
Mandalore?
Costas Mandalore
Yeah.
as Detective Hoffman.
Okay.
Here's what IMDb says this movie's about. A sick and desperate John travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable.
John, basically someone looking for a prostitute.
Yeah. Well, fellas, this is the first return to the Saw franchise since what, 20... Was Jigsaw? That was still in the same...
No, Jigsaw is not considered canon.
That wasn't a
That's
John
not
Kramer story?
It references John Kramer because remember he's the one that like she's inspired by, but it's not technically canon.
So this is the first canonical story we've had in how long?
A long time.
Would have been Saw
Spiral's
7?
considered canonical.
That one
it
is?
takes
Okay.
place. Yeah, it takes place like, you know, the Jigsaw murders were legit. I don't know what makes Jigsaw different than Spiral, but yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm not going to get hung up on Saw canon.
It's a messy plot to follow. I will say off the bat that I quite enjoyed the fact that John Kramer is front and foremost the main character of the story.
Yes.
He's not a side character or a flashback like after he died in 3. They just kept bringing him back in weird ways so he could be attached to the franchise still. Funny enough, the producers said it was a mistake to kill him off in movie 3, and I fucking agree with that.
Oh, definitely.
Because when you think of Saw, this dude is fucking Saw.
And I'm so happy, and I did not miss like all the cop stuff that would come in, like where we have to cut to a bunch of cops
Right.
just running around, like
Yes, it
trying
was-
to crack the case.
Okay, no, hold on. I gotta jump in here and defend Saw a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think the cop stuff was good only in relation to the fact that Hoffman was a cop and he was involved with the whole, like he was a Jigsaw apprentice. So I liked the cop storyline through 5 because you still had a lot of like, oh shit, Hoffman's on the inside, you know, like Hoffman, you didn't really like fully understand his like depth and involvement in it. So I appreciated some of that. But as far as the cop procedural stuff of like, you know, like Chief's gonna have my ass for this, we didn't need any of that after like 4.
No, and marrying that particular storytelling structure of a police procedural with bad acting like so-and-so who pretended to be Brad Pitt from Saw, or
Yes.
sorry, 7.
Jill, it's a safe house. Safe house. Safe house. You get it?
My favorite fucking actor in all the Saw movies.
That it just makes those movies feel so cheap.
It was so bad.
When this movie comes out, this one felt like a real fucking movie.
See, I think that's what kind of, I don't want to say poison the well, but I think that's what kind of like, you know, changed a lot of people's like, it was a return to the comfort level of Saw. Like it was what was familiar and acceptable.
Comfort minus the jarringly bad camera shots that we were doing in the early 2000s. It wasn't just Saw. It was in all the movies back then.
No, this movie definitely was, it was better than it had any right to be based off when I heard what the story was going to be. I was like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
For pulling off a prequel sequel thing that takes place between, is it 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
That they did a great job there.
Which threw me off for a little bit. I could not place the timeline at first because I was like, is this pre him?
I kinda wanted this
when
to
he was
be-
sketching the mouth trap. I was like, oh, this has to be like really early on. And
Yeah.
then like Amanda shows up and I'm like, well, Amanda had to be involved after 1. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? It took me a while to kind of figure out the
Yeah.
timeline, but eventually it did fall right into place.
For me, Amanda is probably the biggest, weakest or link of this entire movie. To be quite honest with you, they have her become sympathetic to one of the victims because she's also a drug user,
Yeah.
but it doesn't ultimately go anywhere. It just ends. It doesn't have any bearing on the overall plot.
Well, yes and no. The plot, no, but the characters, yes, because John is really trying to be like, trust in the process. Know that what we're doing is right. Like really trying to condition her and not want to say break her, but cleanse her of her cloudy vision of what they're doing. But she's still very, I mean, all the way through 3, she's super emotional and she never fully like grasps what the bigger picture is, which was always the duality between her and Hoffman. But you're right, it didn't pay off to any kind of like specific
Not in
payoff.
this specific movie.
Not in this movie.
But if you cut all that crap out, you could save yourselves 10 minutes, which I think this movie is also a little too long. It doesn't need to be almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think if you just clean up that Amanda stuff a little bit, it would just flow a little better.
I really like the fact that the whole time he was just like, you have to trust me in this. Like, you have to like believe that what we're doing, like, because it's so subtle. Like, you don't really pay attention to it much until the end when you realize, oh, John's got all the angles worked out. My man's Dr. Doom in this.
I think they're also shoehorning that this came after movies that chronologically come after it, right? Like if they were writing this in order, they could have made it where Amanda does let her go and then she comes back in another movie and you see that she hasn't changed, you know, and John's like, see, I was right. You have to let him go through but they couldn't do that because
some of the limitations of telling a story within this story.
Yeah.
That was one of the whole like major cruxes of 3 is where he was like, this is your test, and she didn't realize it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. First off, let's just get this out of the way. Tobin Bell is 81 years old.
No fucking way.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I looked it up. I was like,
Man looks amazing. Did they CG him?
no.
No, they did not. I know that. For
So there
fact
was
they didn't
actually
de-age
some
him.
sort of people were saying, well, should we de-age these? I think they should have de-aged Amanda.
Yeah.
Because it took me a while to accept and just move along. I was like, there's no way. She's clearly older than me.
Well, it did bother me only because I was so distracted by her hair.
The hair's so fucking bad.
Oh my God, it was so I didn't even have time to see like, oh, she looks too old. I was basically like, get that hair off the
I
screen.
let it go immediately. It didn't bother me at all. I mean, the first time she shows up on the screen, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. But then after that, I was like, I'm in for it.
The reason it took me a while is because of the way that her character's mannerisms and attitude seem like a whiny fucking 20-year-old emo girl.
And she does not look it.
No,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at odds with it. It's the way that she acts versus how she looks. You know.
Hello, fellow teenagers.
Yeah. Now the thing with John Kramer being 81 years old, it seemingly is always going to work because he's a stricken cancer patient who's dying, so he can look old and withered. I
But
guess
he didn't.
at
I
certain
know.
points.
When he took his shirt off, I was like, damn, dude, be hitting the gym.
he's
I was like, when he showed up, I was like, where is this in the storyline? Because he looks young as fuck. And then I was like, get the hell out of here. This guy is...
Well, it's not over. He does not look young as fuck.
Well, I mean, for his age.
No, there was a line in the movie where he's like coming around from the surgery, quote unquote surgery, and she looks at him. He's like, "So what's next?" And she's like, "Your whole life." And I'm like, "All 7 years?"
Yeah, long life. That's what she says. And I was like,
like, what does he got left?
A decade at most.
Yeah.
I know. And then learning he's 81, I was like, oh, he's got like, I hope he lives as long as possible.
I mean, statistically, he's beating the odds already.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. But that being said, I was able to eventually just let that go with Amanda, and the story went on.
I'll tell you, my big thing that I made a mistake in this movie nonstop is I thought Valentina and what's the other girl's name? Gabriella were the same person for like the longest time until they were both in the same room. I was like, oh, I guess I was really wrong about that.
I was not a fan of the early 2000s color grading. When it was so blue, I was like, whoa, it's hurting my eyes. And they flew to Mexico. And of course, everyone knows Mexico's yellow. So yellow it up, man.
They bought a film pack. They're going to use it.
It was like watching traffic. I was like, what is happening?
Maybe that was them just trying to emulate the style of 04, 06, you know?
No, there was a lot of camera shots where they were trying to emulate that like early Saw style.
But they were soft. They weren't nearly as hard as those other movies, so I appreciate it. I was like, all right, you could do 1 or 2. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Saw 3 through 5 had a lot more of those, like, damn, it's obvious.
Maximum music video editing.
Drinking Mountain Dew and watching MTV.
It's extreme.
Do you guys think this movie sets John Kramer up to be a hero? This is a question I had when I walked out of the movie.
This is in my book, because there are scenes where he does the Saw puzzles, and there's some graphic gore and violence, and then there's the whole like struggle to, are we doing the right thing? Is this for the right reasons? You even see him like, we got to make sure we're not doing this for revenge, but actually giving people the legitimate, and him and Amanda have that play. But you see these intense, god awful scenes, and then you cut to a scene where him and Amanda being like, I care about you. Like, what's your life value? And it's like, I cannot get into, they were trying to soften him up a little bit and make you really kind of like empathize with him. But I'm sitting there going like, I get what you're doing, but I have a hard time.
I mean, the man is a serial killer.
Yes.
Despite how he wants to
Your
frame
methodology, yes, aside, you're still putting these people in this situation.
You were locking a person into a trap that they have to saw a limb off to survive, and they die. That's on you, John Kramer. You don't get to frame this as like, well, they could have survived if they had the gusto.
What I think is
I almost feel like, I'm sorry, John. I almost feel like I'd like respect him more if he just got mild revenge on people to teach them to stop doing that shit. Like if he had cut the like Cecilia's hands off and was like, hey, this is my revenge for you fucking me over. You're not going to fuck anybody else over. That makes more sense to me than like, well, they have a choice. And it's like, bro, why?
What I think they were trying to show is that like he really, really believes in what he's doing. I don't know that they're saying that what he's doing is right, because obviously it's fucked. But I think they're saying that he does very strongly believe what he is doing is moral and he's helping these people. I think that's like what's coming across as him seeming like they're trying to soften him or make him a hero. Like he's just very bought in.
He's only a hero in the sense that the people he's putting in these traps are worse than him.
And in this particular movie too, they really went above and beyond. Some of the people he put in traps in other movies, they're like, you didn't smell enough flowers, so now we're gonna cut your fucking nose off.
I think this was a balancing act though, because in like the later ones, like 4 or 5, stuff like that, John comes across as much more, as you just kind of pointed out, like malicious and just like, more like kind of like torturous. And this one, I think they were really trying to push the whole like this is a moral kind of like balance. Give him like whatever you guys are trying to say, like where the fact like just making him like soften him up, and the fact like this is actually right in some way.
Yeah, the victims in this movie all take part in a scam that brings in terminally ill people and then grifts them for money, promising life-saving surgery that doesn't actually happen.
They don't do anything. They just put them to sleep and wake them up a couple hours later.
And that's it. And then they take, in John Kramer's case, they fleece him for $250,000.
Yeah.
Right. Oof. So that's why I'm saying, like, in this movie's microscope, John Kramer appears to be the hero because he's somehow seemingly not as bad as these grifters.
Yeah, it's like proportionality has gone out the window. Like what they did is despicable, but should we torture them for it? I'm going to vote no. I'm anti-torture.
Who's the boyfriend what's that guy's name?
Oh, he had
I actually know it.
Peter something.
No, I
Paul.
have it written down because I was calling him the wrong name the whole movie.
Parker Sears.
Parker Sears.
Parker. I was calling him Marcus in all my notes, and then I was like, I have a note that says like, oh wait, Marcus is actually Parker. That's like
nice.
But yeah, I mean, he was like, you think what you're doing is right. He was that kind of voice of audience reason of like, you're still a fucking psychopath, and he's like, you don't get it, and it's just like, but again, I think we do get it. I think we've always gotten it. I mean, it's a very flimsy moral standing that John Kramer has, but I don't know. I think we're past it.
Yeah,
I feel like we're really past it.
We're 10 movies in. Like, we've already done this song and dance of the morality tale, like whenever they had Hoffman not giving anybody time to survive the traps and just dying. Like, we've already done this.
I don't think that John gives people enough time for these traps. So
before you have to realize that you got to cut open your brain and pull out a piece of the gray matter, like
3 is the magic number.
You're gonna need more
on every trap.
I know you're gonna need a little more time to fucking get yourself psyched up to cut your brain open.
God, okay. Real quick though, this movie's gore is intense.
Yeah.
Like more so than some of the other Saw films. Like it's almost like they took the comical aspect out and really went into the reality of it. And I was like, I could do without this, especially because I was eating my Draft House chicken strips. Shout out to Alamo Draft House. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it on the thing, kid strips. Get the kid strips, they're the old style, not the new style.
Oh, that's good to know.
If you're wanting shitty frozen chicken strips at Draft House, kid strips all the way.
Life hacks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I wonder when John was watching that brain dissolve slowly, if he was like, fuck, I mistimed it. Because he did it.
Yes.
He got it done in time.
It would probably take 3 minutes for that brain to dissolve.
Yeah, it was going so slow.
Damn it, John. Well, let's get into it. I will, the trap, gore, Foley work. Ugh. I was just like every other Saw movie, cringing in my seat, especially the one where the girl had to fucking saw through.
Oh, my God.
That one was just a lot.
Yeah. You know,
shout out to the lady 3 seats down from me because this theater was pretty empty when I went and saw it. And the lady sitting down and there's like the part where Valentina saws her leg off and he goes thump on the floor and the lady goes, nope. And just puts her food down. I was like, all right, I get it.
I wouldn't want to eat during this movie.
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, how does this one kick off?
Well, I think it starts right with John at the hospital, if I remember right.
He's in the survivor group because and he's like talking about like having cancer or whatever. And it's kind of cut within a few scenes where you see that like he's going through the treatment and doing his whole cancer thing. I would have liked to have seen him talking in a survivor group as the running narrative, like recap device throughout the film. Like, like when he talks about like, and then I had to overcome this idea that I wasn't meant to be here, like something like that. And then you cut to him murdering Valentina. And then like, I don't know, I think him telling his tales from his moral perspective to a survivors group would be an interesting plot, an interesting way of like delivering the plot narrative.
I like that there was no cutaways in this one, so I don't know if I'd like that.
Not like in the middle, but I'm just saying like we use like him telling tales at his survivors meeting as like a way to kind of look at what he did for this group of people.
Maybe bookend it, but not throughout the entire movie. That could be how they catch the final guy. Remember the one that got him to go on this whole trip in the first place?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Was that guy in on the scans?
Yes, he was.
Did you wait to the credits? There was a credit scene.
Oh, no, I didn't. By the time the credits
I did.
were on, I was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, there's a scene where, okay, so John, I'm doing this for you.
Okay.
We're going to spoil the ending. There's a mid-credit scene where the guy with the stomach scar doesn't have the stomach scar, and he's being held up in the original room from Saw 1, and Hoffman and Jigsaw, or John Kramer are in there, and they're like, you fucked with the wrong guy. You picked John Kramer to fuck with? Are you crazy? And then like he's like, where's your scar? And he's like, look, man, I didn't know. And then like he totally gets like this little like mechanical like finger thing cutting open his stomach. It's gnarly.
I'll have to find that online. That explains why he called the detective, because I was like, I don't remember seeing him in the rest of the movie, but I guess he's in the mid credits.
Okay, find those loose ends.
So.
Anyway.
John Kramer's in this group, and we're met with a lot of other cancer patients. I wouldn't call it a survivor group, but some of them are.
No, because
John Kramer's terminal.
Yeah, I think it's for terminal patients to come to grips, I guess, with the finality of what's going on for them, and like a support group. There's the word that I couldn't get out. I think it's more of a support group, and it just sort of intercuts with different hospital scenes where we once again find out, yep, John Kramer has cancer. It's terminal, and he has less than a year to live. And the doctor's like, you should wrap up your work. And he's like, I got a lot to do.
He's like, so your advice to me is just to die?
Yeah, which is like fair.
I forget exactly how he phrased it.
To die easy. Yeah.
Which is basically
then I was
give up. swamp.
He missed a chance to drop in a Die Hard reference. Like, I'm going to die hard.
So he goes into a hallway and he's drinking at the water faucet and he sees into one of these patients' rooms and the janitor is starting... Orderly.
It's a janitor.
Okay,
yeah.
janitor,
He's pushing the floor buffer machine, which is like, why is he even in there? Is he buffing that guy's room while he's in there?
Yeah, so this guy's clearly on his way out, the patient. So he starts rifling through his stuff and he's stealing his watch and his wedding ring. All the while, Jigsaw's watching him from outside of the blinds in this room. And then he has a fucking daydream because I was like, you're smart to put a trap up front because we're about to have a lot of non-trap action in this movie. So we get to see the guy on the poster with these vacuum hoses connected to his eyes, and he's in a chair with these wire contraptions connected to each finger and a timer, probably at 3 minutes, because that's what he does.
I'd like to play a game. Perhaps one that addresses those sticky fingers of yours. I've had my eyes on you, and I do not like what I see. Your job as a custodian is a noble one, sanitizing and sterilizing the hospital, helping patients avoid sickness. But there is a sickness inside you that needs to be excised. You have the ability to not only save your soul today, but your sight. All you have to do is click the dial across the 5 positions, and you will live to see another day. You have 60 seconds.
And he's got to pull this little knob, a dial, go 1 through 5, and it's going to snap all the bones in his fingers on his right hand.
I'll tell you this. I don't think I'd survive any of these traps, but I think I could do this one.
I could do this
Just
one.
go to 5 right away, get it over with.
Boom, you're done.
Yeah, this guy was like one at a time, screaming in pain. It's like, bro, rip it off like a Band-Aid. Just go.
The worst way to do it, man.
So he gets through what, like 3-4 fingers?
He gets to 3 or something, yeah.
Which, I'm going to say this now. If I have ever find myself trapped in a John Kramer contraption, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to die.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is I'm going to put a lot of pain on myself and then die anyway because I'm not going to be like mentally ready to solve a trap that includes body mutilation in 3 minutes.
Unless it's this one.
It's the finger. Oh, man, that
It
sucks.
hurt like a motherfucker, but you know what?
So we get to see this guy get his eyeballs vacuumed out one at a time.
Oof. Fucking gross.
It's all a daydream.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, I mean, these traps are as hard as
Used to read Kramer magazine.
I like it. These traps are all as difficult as the Double Dare physical challenges.
Hello. I want to play a game.
You know what I mean?
Wait a
There's
minute, no.
30
How
seconds
dare you.
to throw a rubber frog into a cylinder on your partner's head. No one's getting that.
No.
They're just getting dirty. And that's what these traps are. You're just getting dirty before you die.
No, I'm not going to give this one to you, Mark. I appreciate the legwork you did on this, but this is nothing like Double Dare.
It's just like it, except you die.
Yeah, same thing, pretty much.
I kind of want to see a movie where John Kramer just goes from like a daily routine. He's just visioning and daydreaming about all the traps.
I want to see. Well, we can get there when he builds all his traps. But when does he do this? How long does it go? How long is this movie? Do you think? Like, how much time is spent?
2 weeks.
Yeah, he's got to research the treatment. He's got to buy a plane ticket. He's got to prep.
He goes down to Mexico in like 2 days.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
that part's really quick.
And then he rents out the warehouse, or maybe he just squats. Say he squats in the warehouse, builds all these traps.
Well, don't forget, he took
records his voiceovers.
7 days of recovery drinking those liquids in the hospital room. So we're already at like 11, 12 days.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm buying it. Plot hole in a Saw movie? Get out of here.
Well, we've always complained that there's no way that a cancer patient could get all this set up in time that the movies expect you to.
I don't appreciate you underestimating John Kramer.
He would need like a whole carpentry team and electricians.
You mean like an Amanda and a Hoffman?
Okay, look, Amanda, especially in this movie, does not look like she's building any fucking traps, okay?
She's building bad haircuts.
Her job is to tase people and talk shit.
You're going to give her so much shit about this hair, aren't you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Dude, she looked like a beetle.
I want to hold your hand.
So maybe let's just say
like a month.
three weeks to a month time period. This whole
Amazing.
movie takes place, and he only had 4 months to live, according to the first doctor.
So he's spent 25% of his life doing this. Like, okay, it works out. Then Saw 2, it's another month. Saw 3, another month, and then he kicks the bucket.
Yeah, they slit his throat in movie 3, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the end of it.
Anyway, The janitor noticed that he's being watched. He puts all the items back, and as he's walking out of the room, Kramer goes, "Good choice."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, do you think he would have killed him? If he had stolen the items, do you think John Kramer would have put that man in the trap that he daydreamed about?
Yes.
He's committed.
And which goes back to, is grand theft torture worthy? Like, even if you're somehow pro torture, which, by the way, weird, don't do that. Is grand theft, is
John,
that where the line
If
is?
you touch my napkin when we're at dinner, you're done for. I'm just letting you know.
Is a watch and a ring grand theft?
Depends on the value, right?
Value.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Yeah, that might even be just larceny, like minor, shoplifting.
larceny.
Yeah. Nope, we're gonna need to either completely break your hand
or suction out your eyeballs
for $2,000 worth of things.
Yeah, and also I don't know if he would have done this because he always seems to orchestrate multiple traps. It's not just I'm gonna trap this one guy.
Well, he did in Saw 1, wasn't it just one guy?
Well, it's two guys.
Wow.
Piece by piece. The thing is, Saw 1 kind of jumps around more time.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway.
The point is John is having to make peace with this, and while he's in the hospital from his not survivor group, but his
support group.
Thank you. As he's making his last will and testament, Kramer runs into a guy who was in there with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he's like, "Oh my God, hey, what's up, dude?" And he's like, "You look great." And he's like, "Thanks, I'm in full remission. Check out my scar. I found this experimental treatment in Norway." And I got it done, and they helped me. John's like, "Yo, hook me up." And he's like, "Well, all right, here's some information."
Was it Henry?
Yes,
Yes, it was
Okay,
Henry.
Henry's like, "Okay, call this number." So he does. He calls. He emails. He emails and is like, "Hey, I'm interested in this thing." And then he gets an email and a call back from Cecilia, who's like, "Tell you what, we've had a lot of problems with Norway and Switzerland. So we're kind of bouncing around here and there. We're currently in Mexico."
She's like, the big pharma companies are always busting our kneecaps. Like,
They're
okay,
one step behind.
yeah, calm down. And also,
Message.
one of my favorite parts of this movie is the little video he watches of Cecilia talking about the treatment, and it just reminded me of like the videos from Lost where the Dharma Initiative scientists would just be talking about bullshit.
It reminded me of the shitty Jordan Peterson videos that he does.
Yeah,
He's
so-
like, "You can get yourself healthy by only eating meat," and then he almost dies in fucking Russia because of it. You're like, "You moron."
I wonder how much of this character was based around that real life lady who said she could do the blood things.
Probably.
Remember who went to jail?
Elizabeth Holmes, yeah.
Yeah, Elizabeth Holmes.
They needed a Mr. DNA is what they needed.
Everything needs a Mr. DNA.
So anyway, now that they've gotten this, she's like, "I can do this. We can fit you in maybe a month." And he's like, and she's like, "You don't have that long, do you?" And he's like,
6 months.
"No." 6 months, sorry.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and she's like, "Tell you what, we have one open vacancy. We could probably do it in about 3 days. Can you get down to Mexico?" And he's like, "Done." Smash cut to John Kramer in Mexico.
Ooh, I just thought another sequel. Saw on a plane. Oh. Saw on a train. It's time to get like a speed element going
Yeah.
on in these trap movies.
Love it.
What do you think?
So John Kramer's in Mexico, and he's in the taxi cab, and Mateo, his taxi driver, is all like, "Hey man, check this out. This is a place where they sacrifice people. They used to cut the hearts out of these people at this temple, or this like little like, it's not a temple, whatever the fuck it is.
Statue.
There we
Yeah.
go. Thank you.
No problem.
And he's like, "Just take me to the place." He's like, "Okay." So as they're driving out, they seem like they're about to get kidnapped by cartel members. They're like, "Get out of the car!" Like he's getting robbed, and he's like freaking out. This is all an elaborate plot to kind of basically get him in another van and get him to the location to kind of really give the idea of
And
like,
I just need to point out that if you really want to make yourself look good to the medical community that you're working outside of, make sure to rob and hold up your patients who were terminally ill, who could maybe have a heart attack from the shock of
I was thinking
men with
that.
guns showing up in masks.
well, it's to really like vet them. Like, are you legitimately this person? Because if you're like not, you're gonna shit yourself and be like, "I don't want to die." That like with these people who are already close to death, there's like they don't really have that much to lose. So they're probably like okay with it. It's what I got.
Driver's license no longer sufficient.
Yeah, right? Now,
They
did
gotta
John...
keep Big Pharma at bay.
I
That's
guess,
true.
yeah.
Did John Kramer go after those guys too?
No.
They got away scot-free,
No, they were
huh?
the same guys. They were the same dudes.
They were-
It was like two or three of them in the...
Yeah.
Yeah, there was two of them. It was the
No, it couldn't have been because they drive away, and then right after we see them in the...
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah, the
I
taxi
thought it was
cab
the
guy, so-
anesthesiologist guy. Keep it
maybe it
homegrown.
is, but I feel like those are different people, but doesn't matter.
Well, anyway, so he goes to this facility. It all looks kind of on the up and up. He meets a few people. He befriends a small Mexican child who's trying to fix his bike at one point.
It's just a kid kicking a soccer ball at a wall.
The first time I think we've had Chekhov's word how do you say pull?
Oh.
What he's teaching them.
Oh, I didn't fucking get that.
Yeah, I did.
It just dawned on me.
It's the one Spanish word John Kramer knows
Yeah.
now is pull in Spanish.
Okay. All right. You know what? Shout outs to them. I did not catch that. And I caught the twist of this movie immediately, but I did
Yeah.
not catch this.
So John he sees this little kid messing with his bike because the frame is bent. And he takes it into a vise and he says, "What's the Spanish word for pull?" I don't remember what the Spanish word for pull is.
either.
He says it.
Trabajo. No, I'm just.
That's work.
That's work. He pulls the tire. It's all fixed. Now he's made a friend. This little kid loves John Kramer now.
Yep.
Well, later on, he's like, Amanda's like, "Who's that?" And he goes, "A friend." And I was like, "Really?"
Like an acquaintance.
Yeah. I don't know if he considers you a friend, John.
The last will and testament. We see John Kramer sign a last will and testament. Says all my traps go to this little kid.
I guess he is a friend though, because he tries to pull. When the time comes, we'll get there. But
Yes, but so anyway, John goes to the whole rigmarole. They explain what's going on. They have this nice little setup that looks legit. He meets a guy who's getting up off the table who had throat cancer removed.
Parker Sears.
Parker Sears. There you go. Not Marcus.
no.
And he's all like, hey man, this really works. I'll catch you around.
He's got like a bandage on his throat.
Yeah.
He's kind of gruffy in the voice. You're like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, 90% success rate, they tell John Kramer.
I'll miss the Chekhov's word, and I missed a bunch of other things in this movie. I immediately called this. I was like, that guy's in on it. I knew immediately. I was like, that dude's in on it.
Do you think they have rehearsals? Like for
I
like
think
2
they're all
weeks
professional.
beforehand,
I think
they're
all professional,
practicing.
Well, he's not the first victim. So they've been doing this for a while.
I think it's the same group of people, though.
yeah.
I thought
No,
she
absolutely.
moved around because we knew.
Well, perhaps. but
Gabriella-
I'm sure
Yeah,
this.
because Mateo does say she found us. She told us
Yeah.
we could make some money. Damn. Okay.
So they
All right.
must have practice. That's incredible.
Show up at 8 a.m. We're going to run through it dry.
Places, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, now let's do our town. So he meets Parker, and Parker's like, hey, this shit really works. Catch you later. And then he goes to the surgery, and he's watching the surgery on a TV screen, a monitor. And then someone catches it and is like, oh shit, the TV's on. And so they go and turn it. And at this point, you kind of get this like vibe of like, okay, something's up here.
Well, I figured, I kind of knew because I think it was in the trailer, this was all fake. But I was like, oh, I wouldn't want to see my own fucking brain surgery. So
No,
I think
it's
Well,
like-
that's how it's played off in the movie.
Yeah.
The TV is right in front of John Kramer, who has to be awake for the surgery. You hear about these all the time.
Yeah.
They happen that way, so in case they can make sure your still motor functions are going.
that
and
one
things
girl
like that.
play a violin. She was like a
Oh, yeah.
famous violinist. I was like, damn, that's
So
impressive.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that like it wouldn't fuck with her violin abilities. So she was playing. I'm sure she wasn't like, playing a full orchestra, but strumming or whatever while they were doing brain surgery. Google it.
Get the fuck out. No, I will not Google that, and I will take your word for it, John.
You want to know one thing that absolutely makes me queasy? It is those surgery videos. I cannot stomach them. I will start to get sick.
I
Same.
will watch things get torn to shreds in horror movies all day.
All day
If
long.
You show me a surgical cut with a scalpel, I'm out.
As soon as it's
too
real,
clean.
Yeah.
As soon as it's real, I'm out. I can't fucking do it. But this fake Hollywood stuff, I take it all day.
Yeah, there's just something about like the transition that can't do it.
Like I get weak at my knees if I see a heart surgery, open heart surgery. I'm like, I can't do this fucking shit. Anyway, that being said, I understand why I wouldn't want to see my brain.
No.
I've almost passed out watching a doctor cut me open on the arm.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Oh. I was like, I got to lay down. I'm getting lightheaded. I'm not good with this stuff in real life, guys.
I get it. But yes, I would not want to see my own brain surgery either.
No.
I wouldn't know what I was. It'd just be stressing me out. Is it supposed to look like that?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Grab that piece.
What's all that black shit in
Yeah,
there?
right. That doesn't look good.
So anyway, he goes through quote unquote brain surgery, and he ends up like, kind of blacking out. And then he wakes up in the chair, and that's when Cecilia's like, congratulations, you made it through. You're going to take 7 days of these serums in the morning and night. And then once you're done with that, you've got a long, full life ahead of you, John Kramer. And he's like, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. And she's like, don't take the bandage off. It's antibacterial. So he can't check out the wound.
So for this grift to work, they got to ensure that he doesn't
Let's
take
get
the
into the
bandage
grift.
off, right?
Yeah.
Nothing happened in the surgery. Absolutely nothing happened in the surgery. I think they shot him up with some nerve deadening serum or something just so
They
he
like
couldn't feel
drugged him
anything.
and Oxycontin or something.
But other than that, they don't cut his head open at all. The hair, as we find out, is not shaved off either.
Which we actually see someone shaving something.
I think we just
yeah.
like waved it around back there and
So for this grift to work, they have to close up shop and fucking bail out in a week, right?
well, no, because they the rest of the people don't know where the house is. John Kramer uses some kind of magic Kramer math off of a radio tower to triangulate where the house is.
Well, as he's in the taxi, he's looking at the surrounding landmarks, and he uses those to triangulate where the house would be.
So he's the only one who ever could get back.
See, that's what happens when you become an architect.
Yeah.
And city planner.
Apparently.
'Cause that's what John Kramer did before he became Mr. Trapmaster.
Yes, he did.
He's also like in special forces.
I served in the war. I found Charlie several times just using the mountains around me.
You know, goddamn well which war. But that should have been like red flag number 1 for him. No doctor is ever going to say, don't change your bandage.
Mark it 8, Amanda. Mark it 8.
No doctor's ever going to say, don't change your bandage for 2 weeks. You want to leave that on there, rank as shit.
You normally change the dressings multiple
Well,
times.
he says it's antibacterial, so he doesn't have to. But yes, again, there's a lot of red
You're still
flags
going to
here.
bleed. So anyway.
The point is he makes it to the 7 days, and then he sends the other half of the money.
Yeah,
So-
well, he wanted to say goodbye to Gabriella. It was the girl that opened the door to the Mexican villa that this operation is happening. So at some point, she brought him a bottle of tequila and says, "Here for your nerves. You know, good luck tomorrow
but
before
you
the
can't drink
surgery."
it
Yeah.
because
So he goes to a liquor store and he buys the same bottle and he wants to give it to Gabriella because he felt a connection with this girl.
So he tracks down the house again to give her the gift.
Yeah.
And then he gets there, and guess what? This place is abandoned as fuck, and it looks like it's been ransacked.
Yeah, why wouldn't they just pack up their shit?
Why ransack it?
They left the entire medical structure they built,
Yeah.
and everything was just kind of turned over. For the next grift, wouldn't you want to take that stuff with you?
Right. And as we've later find out, they have a real radiation machine for some reason.
The thing is, I don't think you take it. I think it's probably cheaper to buy it where you go.
Source it in the country you're
sort-
doing the
than
grift.
having to ship it and
Customs.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Customs.
okay.
You know, then it's a paper trail.
Do you need this radiation machine? You're going to need 3 forms of approval to get
Yeah.
across the customs border. Yeah, maybe
Sorry,
so.
1 DVD homemade surgery. Don't worry about that. So anyway, it's also I think they just rip it and run.
Yeah,
That's how
that
they
makes
do it.
sense. Now, one thing I didn't think about till right now is he really only interacted with Gabriella for like 15 minutes.
If that,
Yeah, he like fell. Like he's like, we have a tight bond, me and her. That's weird.
she got him good
Yeah, she's good at her job.
with those Mexican wiles.
So when he's there, he finds the TV, and inside that TV DVD player is a DVD called "My First Surgery."
Yeah, pretty much.
Or whatever it is, like learning to do brain surgery. Which I don't think you can learn how to do brain surgery from a how-to DVD.
No, some guy's like, I'm Troy McClure. You might.
Fisher Price's cranial restructure.
And so he pushes play, sees the video he saw of his brain. It's the exact same thing he saw, and he's like, "Wait a minute." So he takes his bandage off, and bum, bum, bum. There's no cut. There's no shaved hair. There's nothing. You got played. Cue DJ Khaled. All right? Or you played yourself. That's what it is. I'm not up on the hip-hop. I don't know.
It's you played yourself.
No,
Good
thank
job,
you.
though.
Thank
Yeah,
you, John.
yeah.
Thank you. The reference is there for the kids.
Yeah,
And
the,
so
the kids. That's like a 20-year-old reference.
Look, man, I said the kids. So, yeah, he realizes, throws the expensive bottle of booze on the ground.
I would have drank it.
I'm about to say, I was like, John or Mark would have basically like, fuck this and chugged that shit.
Yeah.
I would immediately open that bottle right there.
Yeah, fuck that, man. And then I would have
Numb
got
the pain.
Yeah.
I would have got the planning, but may as well. Why?
you know,
I already bought it.
Take your time.
Yeah.
So we cut to Diego in his taxi cab right outside that Aztec statue you guys mentioned earlier.
Given the same spiel that he gave to John Kramer.
His customer leaves, exits the vehicle, and in comes John Kramer. And what does he give him, the old ether rag or something?
Yeah, something. He puts like a rag on his face. Must be ether. Let's just say.
So
Yeah.
Diego wakes up, finds himself in a trap.
He's in a warehouse. This is where all this will happen. And he has 2 pipe bombs sewed to his forearms
With metal wire.
with metal wire, and then duct taped to his hand with a tremendous amount of duct tape are 2 surgical scalpels. And he's like hung
the
up.
scalpels are knives.
I think they were surgical scalpels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
I mean, I guess a scalpel's a type of knife, so you're also
you're
right.
good. You're good. Keep going.
And he's tied up, and he wakes up, and he's like, "What in fuck is this?" Then he gets the standard John Kramer spiel. Diego, you're an asshole, but you might be able to be redeemed. If you cut these pipes off of your arms, you'll be fine. You'll be good to go. Or you're going to blow the fuck up.
and they're like sewn again, through his arm, like around the bone, so he can't just rip them away.
No, he's got to cut off a huge chunk of his arm.
He has to, like, it can cut through the skin around it will get him out, but
right, he's gonna work the meat and skin off his arm, so then they'll slide off his hands.
Mark, I'm gonna need to say work the meat again, real slow.
Work the meat. Hi, Diego. I want to play a game.
I want you to work the meat.
Work the meat. Make sure you close your door, though.
But I think John Kramer wanted Diego to survive this. So
he needed info.
Right, because he gets the most amount of time. Like, he talks, he gets to panic.
He's got 3 minutes, dude.
Well, he gets to panic, though, before the clock starts.
Shout outs to Diego, though, for just at one point going, all right, screw this, I'm going for it. Because once he commits to it, he's not like everyone else who's like, I don't know if I should. He's like, let's cut.
So after getting the first bomb off, like, say, right arm, can you imagine using that same arm to cut away at the left arm?
I was like, dude, you know how much pain you would be in trying to cut through? But I guess adrenaline, man.
Yeah, and he does struggle because at the end, he just uses his teeth to yank it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he kicks the pipe bombs away from him, and he yells, Kramer! But the way he yells it sounds like fucking Jerry Kramer from Seinfeld. It was just like, Jerry! I was like, dude. But
and those pipe bombs blow up. They're big. They're way bigger than they needed to be to just kill him. They would have like disintegrated him.
But then John Kramer runs downstairs and he's like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, you're going to be okay. And then like heals him up.
But the thing is, and this is like also part of why he's wrong, besides just on the surface level. Yes, Diego survived, but even if all of his physical injuries heal, which they are not going to, the man is psychologically traumatized. You subjected this individual to just an unbelievable amount of trauma that he's gonna have to spend his whole life working through.
This is a thing that really bums me out about these movies, is because I don't know if you ever watched those videos of like where they're like, we interviewed a real like jewel thief and like talked about this, or we interviewed like a former mafia guy or whatever. And the one thing they always say is like, sure, I didn't kill anybody, but I didn't realize the intense amount of like mental and emotional harm I did to people by making them scared of living their lives, of like just going to work. People couldn't, like they always, most of them always come to that. And it's like the fact that John Kramer hasn't like he just views it as like, oh, they'll be happy to like live life now. It's like they'll be terrified to do the smallest thing wrong. Like you've made their lives so potentially unbearable.
Yeah. This theology that John Kramer holds is flawed at best. At best. So Diego gives up the info on the other people. I think we get to see Gabriella and Valentina.
Yeah, I think Valentina's next.
And they all get picked up by our pig-faced individual.
So Valentina's at the club hitting on some giant, like, biker dude who eventually takes her out to the car. And then she's like, hey, give me some money for sex. And he's like, no way.
It turns out she's a prostitute.
And then goes immediately to rape from like 0 to 100. That dude's like, I'm not paying. I'm going to rape you. And I was like,
we're already here. So
it's insane.
And pig-faced character interrupts the rape. Mm-hmm. And
shout out to Pigface.
Still, Valentina gets snatched. Not a good day for her. Not
Valentina or Gabriella?
That was Valentina.
It's Valentina.
Okay, because Gabriella's the drug addict.
Yeah, Gabriella.
Right? She goes to Scores and ends up in a bathroom.
She goes to, I guess Mateo works at a veterinarian clinic.
I guess.
And he has access to drugs. So she shows up, Gabriella does with money, and Mateo's like, you're going to have to find another dealer. Like, we can't keep doing this. And she's like, whatever, thanks for the pills.
So it's like, you look like shit. And she did look like shit.
Oh, she looked rough.
She looked like a drug addict.
Yeah.
And what happens here? Pigface shows up again, right?
Yeah, he gets tased. And then cuts, and then we cut to Gabriella in a bathroom.
Don't tase me, bro.
Yeah. We cuts to Gabriella in a bathroom trying to take her drugs. She's acting all weird about it, considering that bathroom looks like where everybody takes their drugs. Like everybody in there wants to do drugs, but she's being real sketch about it and goes into like a stall.
I like when movies show these moments, and I'm just like, who wants to go to Mexico if it's that fucking dirty?
Right.
It's like, jeez.
I've been there. Not on drugs, though.
In the disgusting bathroom stall.
Just border town.
Then she sees feet. And then she's like, hey, it's occupied.
Occupado.
And the guy kind of wanders off.
Spanish lesson by Garrett.
Yes.
Duo Garrelito.
Ooh.
That's his app. You can learn Spanish from that app.
Love it. She opens the bathroom door and just starts walking and somehow just gets knocked the fuck out by the other stall door.
This door sort of swings open and knocks her flat on her ass. And I was like, I got to give it to him. That was a cool knockout.
Yes.
I enjoyed that
I would not have seen that coming. Neither did she.
Yeah, boom. Now we cut to Charlize Theron.
Cecilia Peterson.
There you go, Cecilia Peterson.
She's in a giant glass mansion in Mexico. Is this like a rental? Like, I don't know. It looks like she's been there for quite some time. It's all like very lavish.
Custom blinds. No, this is where she lives.
So
She said
I don't
she's
know.
going to Bolivia next.
Yeah, I don't know why you.
She is. I think she just says that. I think she just.
But then why would she ransack her own warehouse?
This is like an Airbnb.
It's got to be an Airbnb.
Yeah. It's like
a long-term Airbnb, but still.
Yeah.
Who buys a glass mansion and just Airbnbs it the whole fucking time? Do you
Too
not
many
live there?
people. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
The housing market in Mexico, let me tell you.
Oh, it is getting, it's getting really
I'd
fucked.
never fucking leave it. You know?
Yeah. Regardless, she's got it's a place that has security cameras galore.
But no alarm. That's the key. A lot of cameras. Apparently, no alarm though.
She hears a noise and she checks the cameras, and then she sees somebody on the roof with like a fucking cinder block.
Oh, and that shot of the person walking across the roof, you can barely see that person walking until they start moving, and it's like, oh, and you immediately focus on it. That's so freaky.
It's a great shot, and you watch the person in the security cam throw the cinder block, and then it comes through the ceiling
Through the glass ceiling,
right above Cecilia.
Yeah.
And then they drop in, and do they scuffle very long, or how?
No, she sees him coming, so she starts running, right, and drops, and she runs to her garage and gets in her car. But there was a pig person in the car too, shot with
There's a big person in the car too.
Yeah, man bear pig was waiting for her and shoots her up with some sort of drug, and she's passed out.
And that was John Kramer.
Was that John Kramer?
It was John and Amanda working together to get Cecilia.
Yeah, he kind of
Amanda getting the other ones, but John and Amanda go after Cecilia.
Yeah, he's like he takes his mask off in the car when he injects her with the syringe.
Right.
So, you know it's me.
Tag team back again.
I want to play a game again. So bada bing, bada boom. John Kramer's got all his people in a warehouse. Where does he keep buying these warehouses? Where does he commandeer these warehouses? Who knows?
This is where the surgery took place.
Yeah. This is
all
their warehouse.
back in the same one the scam took place in.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense. That also explains why the little kid was there, because I was like, where the fuck did this little kid come from?
He just wanders Mexico kicking footballs or soccer balls against the wall.
Yeah, soccer balls. Say it right.
Be a very different game if he was
Look,
kicking
America, chill out. All right, it's soccer.
If he was kicking American footballs against the wall. What a weird game.
I think you need to reverse that. Look, world.
Yeah.
It's soccer. We're the only country
That's
that
fine.
calls
The
it
world
soccer.
can get fucked. USA. Anyway.
Not in the World Cup, we won't.
John Kramer. John Kramer's got everybody in the warehouse. They're all kind of chained up. They're all realizing what's going on. They realize John. They look up and they see John, and he's like, "You guys all scam me. It's time to play a game."
Another thing that I really appreciated about this movie that I don't believe has really happened before is that John Kramer is present at the time of the torture. Before, it's all been recording and the Jigsaw killer's not around.
You're wrong. Part one, he was the dead body on the floor the whole time.
But I mean, looking them in the eyes. He was playing
Yeah.
a part.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I digress.
It's not little Billy Puppet the whole time. It's
He
not
puts
just
on some weight.
recordings.
Did you guys think we weren't going to get a Billy Puppet?
I did.
Yes, I did
was
too.
so worried.
Except
If I
you
don't
told
get-
me that it was coming. So I was like,
sorry.
well,
I didn't
Garrett
mean to-
told me Billy's
I
coming.
didn't mean to spoil it for you, but yes, I was so worried we were not going to get a Billy Puppet. I was freaking out.
I don't think you can make a Saw movie without a puppet at this point.
Yeah, but also, like, when did he have time to make a puppet that could ride a fucking bike?
He was actually making those puppets back when his wife was pregnant.
I want to see a scene where he goes through TSA line and they scan his luggage and find a fucking
I
Billy
think he
puppet.
made it on site.
Look at all that nice little paint swirlies
Yeah.
and the puppet
You could
heads.
source red paint in Mexico.
But we see that his hand's all shaky.
Yeah.
John, stop worrying so much about this, okay?
He couldn't even sign his name.
Maybe Amanda brought it.
Bam.
Oh, boom. She crossed the border illegally.
She didn't check that bag. It was, carry on or whatever.
Damn.
We got to do something about this border.
Yeah.
You cracked the code.
Mexico's rotten with Americans.
Puppets and they're just coming across willy nilly.
Too many puppets.
We got to build a puppet wall.
Yeah. We need some kind of puppet master to control him.
What would a puppet wall look like?
It's got a little like curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a regular wall, just smaller.
Okay, anyway. Oh, man. So He basically tells them, okay, you guys scammed me. It's time for y'all to play a game. And
Cecilia's actually still putting into the work of like, it all happened, John.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're doing this.
To try and make it not seem like revenge. He's not actually necessarily mad about being scammed. He goes on and fucking on about they're preying on hope. The one thing these people have left is hope, and you took advantage of it.
I liked that. The way he delivered it was really well done. But yes, if you actually dig into the concept, you're like,
In his twisted morality,
Yes.
like he's framing it that way. But dude, you're getting revenge
Yeah.
because you got fucked.
he's an anti-hero, if you will.
I don't even know if
wouldn't
he's
go
in.
that
Yeah.
Well, in the scope of this movie, he's
Yeah,
supposed
what
to.
they're trying to do. I guess, yes, if he hadn't personally been scammed, his bullshit would at least make a little more sense. But you weren't out looking for these scams. You got tricked and are mad about it.
The point is he starts explaining it out, and it's time to get going because Mateo starts begging for his life. Cecilia's like, fuck this, we got this.
Valentina is just cursing. They're all starting to turn on each other. You know, we had nothing to do with this. It was all the white woman. You know, like,
Valentina, I get. She is in the worst position of them all. I don't know why, because she was like the least, to me, like offensive of the group. All she did was kind of smile at him and take a little fake blood.
Gabriella was.
Wait, that's true. Gabriella
was just a caretaker.
Yeah, she was like the housekeeper.
really all of them except Cecilia, kind of minor fun. I guess Mateo pretended to do surgery, so
Yes.
maybe his involvement's a little more.
I think if you're in the room, which Valentina was, you got
Fair
equal
enough.
parts complicity.
But she is like,
Because she turns the monitor. She like knows like, oh shit, yeah.
she's strapped down and has like some sort of, what do you call it? Not a jerry saw, some sort of surgical wire saw across her neck. And if I were her, I'd be panicking a little bit too, because all her other friends or co-conspirators are just sort of chained to the floor with long, comfortable chains.
Basically, this is where John gives his whole spiel of like, hey, this is what we're going to do. You have a chance to, deal with what you did. We all know the whole Saw thing. We're not going to reiterate it all.
Yeah,
If
you gotta
don't
pass
know
your
it,
test.
Go watch Saw 1 through 3.
So it's a jiggly saw.
Jerry saw is so
think.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, jiggly saw.
Jiggly
yeah.
or Geely?
It's Gigli.
Oh, it is a Geely. It is a Geely saw.
Geely
Geely
yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
So that's wrapped around her neck, and next to her is a little box that she opens up, and it's a hand one. So it's not controlled by any mechanisms. It's literally one with just two handles that she's going to have to put under her leg, and on her leg is a dotted line. And
Thigh.
on thigh, yeah,
Yeah,
it's way up there.
way up there.
She's going to have to use this Geely saw to get through her femur bone to reveal where she can get marrow, that there is now a tube that she's got to stick into her bone and drain into this balance.
I think this is a good time for this.
Yeah.
It's so fucking gross.
So blood and marrow is going to pour out into this like weighing balance contraption until there's enough marrow to bring the lever down and turn off the trap.
And she fucking did it, man. She missed it by like 1 second.
You cannot hesitate with John Kramer.
You know how on the microwave you can hit the add 30 seconds button?
Yeah.
I really think John Kramer should have been hitting that button when she got through that leg. And he's like, no, she's almost there.
It was like impossible. I guess if she had started exactly, I guess the trick is you just have to go right off the line.
Right, you have no time to orient.
Sell though.
Yes.
It's a hard sell.
No person is just going to be like, better start sawing.
Except for James Wan. Wait, he's the one that did the first one, right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Him and Lee Wannell. But she also has to take the time to play a tape recorder, right? It tells her how to all the shit she's got to do. It's a lot for you to mentally prepare to
Yeah.
saw off your leg.
Well, I think she plays the tape recorder first, right?
Yes, she does. We just kind of skipped
You
over
get the
that, but-
warning beforehand, but yeah, it says play me, and she's like, no, and they're like, you have to, and she's like, okay. I like when Mateo's like, I'm not touching that fucking thing, and then he comes up
Shocked, yeah.
over the intercom is like, that's not how this works.
Meanwhile, Cecilia, the head honcho of this scam, is over there going, you can do it, saw it off. You can do it, saw it off. And I'm like, you need to shut the fuck up, lady. Like,
Tourniquet, tie it around your fucking leg, grab that Geely saw,
So look-
and start sawing, baby.
I appreciate that she knows a little bit about medicine, because I probably would have forgotten about that whole like tie off the
Yeah.
thing before you saw, and then you just bleed out and die.
Well, even with a tourniquet, man, you're still gonna fucking bleed out unless that thing is so tight.
Right.
Which did not look like it was nearly tight enough.
She tightened that as much as I tightened my belt.
Right. Just enough to keep the pants up.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, like, it's kind of incredible more of these people don't just pass out.
Right. From the shock and
Yeah.
pain, like they should be knocked out. Like there's no way.
Especially what she went through. Bananas. And then so she gets there, she's doing the marrow. We see
When you
this.
say gets her, you mean
she cuts her
saw off
legs.
her leg
Yes.
and then watch it flop to the ground.
This was the most cringe of the movie for me, was watching her saw
Really?
this leg
Over the
off.
brain?
Because of the sound.
Yeah.
I was cool with this as opposed to the brain. But
The most disgusting thing for me was watching the marrow collect.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
you gotta stop talking about it.
And she was so you watch it and they do this great job of cutting to the scale and you can see it getting closer and closer to the line. And then the clock counts down and it hits like 1 and 0 and she crosses the line, but nope, too late. And the saw just cuts
It
her
was a photo finish and she
yeah,
lost.
cuts her head off.
The Geely saw around her neck just goes back and
Yeah.
just saws her head completely off.
And then her whole body falls to the floor. But
again,
everything falls down.
If I found myself in a trap, I just wouldn't even participate. I'm going to say, Jigsaw, you're killing me.
Yeah, this is stupid. Like,
We're
why
done.
would I torture myself the last 3 minutes I was alive?
Yeah, it's not worth it. So everybody now knows that the stakes are real.
Yep.
Valentina's been beheaded. There's some more conversation between Amanda and John Kramer. I think Amanda's starting to feel bad for Gabriella because she's a drug addict. She sees herself in this person. So there's a lot of back and forth on that where John's like, you got to suck it up and just, this is the job. This is the mantra,
And it's like, everyone has free will. It's like, yeah, John, duh, but she's chemically addicted to a substance.
She's also
like-
saying like you don't have free
Right.
will when you're addicted and stuff like that. But the thing that gets me about this is Amanda, you literally overcame your addiction because of this. Wouldn't you want the same thing for fucking Gabriella?
Yeah, but I think maybe she knows what's coming up for Gabriella, and it's a fucked trap. I mean, if you think about it, her trap, terrible, but she got out, and there was no...
What, is the radiation one?
Yeah, for Gabriella.
That's the easiest trap to get out of.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, Amanda's trap
Amanda's
was the
trap.
mouth trap, right?
Right.
She had the first reverse bear trap on her face.
She had to get the key out from under her eye, or what was it? How did she get
I
the key
forget
from?
where the key was.
In her stomach or something like
Yeah,
that.
but
It
the
was in her
point is,
side.
it was like, honestly, it was a shitty trap, but compared to what Gabriella has to go through, not that bad.
No way. No way.
Well, let's hold it for when we get there.
Okay, let's argue about this
Because
later.
next up, they realize they hear Cecilia's phone ring, and it's on a cart, like in between all of them, and they're like, we need to get some rope to pull the cart, and they don't have any rope, but Cecilia, being a fucking genius, you know what? This is props to her. You do what you got to do to survive.
Props to my number one Mexican scammer.
So I got to say that Mateo needs to shut the fuck up.
Oh,
all he's doing is whining and being very loud about don't do that. That's horrible. And it's like, bro, are you not yet realize where you're at? Like whatever you can do to try to get out of here, you should be doing. Also, you're making a lot of ruckus.
Yes.
So
Says Mateo, stop begging.
yeah,
Dude, he's such a bitch. Like,
if John Kramer hadn't already thought of this happening, that would have alerted your captors and they would have come down and fucked you up. Mateo, I never want to be captured with you anywhere.
okay, so one of my big problems with Saw movies is John Kramer must be able to see into the future. He's got to.
Well, that's what happens when you plan cities. I mean, look how well Austin did.
Right, clearly, right? Because Mark alluded to it. It turns out this whole cell phone thing was planned by John Kramer. So he planned for that one girl to fail, that her body would fall in such a way that then Cecilia could get her body, cut her open, use her intestines as a rope.
I don't think
to
he saw the intestines part of it. I just think he just knew they're going to try to get that phone.
Yeah, but how are they going to get it?
They're resourceful. If they wanted it, they find a way.
That's a big key to this whole plot.
As they say, life finds a way.
Fair enough.
Let's bring Jurassic Park back.
I mean, to John's point, they had no other ability to wrap anything else around a cart other than someone's long, large intestine.
Yeah. I guess
I don't know. Taking their clothes off. They could have fashioned a rope out of shirts.
it's a lot of could-haves that John's hinging his whole night on.
The reason that they need Cecilia to get this phone so that she can call
For help.
Parker Sears.
Marcus. Call him Marcus.
Parker,
Only
a.k.a.
you called him
Marcus.
Marcus. Parker Sears so they can catch the last fly in the trap.
Because John evidently knows, as I did, this guy's in on it.
Right. But also, he's really hoping that she calls Parker and not the fucking police. Look, I love my wife, but if I were in this situation, my first call would be to the police.
But let's from this
Man,
perspective.
fuck the police. I'm out.
From this perspective, though, they are also criminals.
With no
So
proof. The police are going to come in there.
The
and
money's upstairs. I think there's enough evidence to maybe do a case. It's going to be a problem.
No, I think John's right. I don't think there's enough to put it together until John Kramer talks, and even then,
It's a his say, he
Didn't
says,
it have
she says.
wasn't there a wall of names with the amount of money that they
In her
stole
house.
from these
In her
people?
house.
Well, they would probably go look at the house.
Why? They come in, they see a dead body. They see these two crazy people. They see three people chained up. They're not going to start interrogating the three chained up people.
I was just a tourist in Mexico on a tour from the taxi cab company and I got kidnapped.
Also, if my options were go to like rich people jail for fraud or some sort of despicable death, I'm going to pick jail. Even Mexican jail.
Well, John is hinging his bets that this person will make the wrong choice.
Yes, he hinges a lot of bets. But anyway, point being is they take out, what's her name?
Valentina.
Valentina. They take out Valentina's large intestines, throw it around, use it as a rope to pull this cart so that...
He really chunked that shit right into Mateo's face, too. He catches it like a ball of yarn, just smacked him in the face. And I was like, dude...
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. They pull the cart. Cecilia gets the phone, calls well, we don't know who she calls yet. She calls somebody and she's like, help, I've been kidnapped, and fucking just gets tased.
Because Amanda sees her. Yeah, Amanda sees this, which they evidently know. So anyway.
Now she's got the phone, Amanda.
Yes, Amanda's got the phone, and it's time for the next trap.
Which is Mateo.
Mateo. Because they argue for a while, and then Amanda goes, fine, but Mateo's, the anesthesiologist is next. It was supposed to be Gabriella, and Amanda changes it.
And this is the only part of the movie that is affected by Amanda's sympathy.
Sympathy, yeah.
For
Apathy's a very different outcome.
The sympathy for Gabriella. So rather than her go next, Mateo's going to go next. He's strapped to a chair now, and in rolls Billy the Puppet with a tray of surgical equipment and vials of liquid.
My boy Billy.
Dude, John Kramers should have been like a stage director. His just incredible.
The man's a showman.
It's incredible.
You
exactly.
gotta give it up.
He managed to line up that Billy puppet to go straight through everybody and land right where it needs to be. If it was me, that thing would hit a pole and fallen over and everything on the train.
This is a good moment to bring up that the people that did Saw 10 also made fun of that AMC The Movies Are Special video.
So good.
With, what's her face?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
And they did a take on that using Saw and like horror movies as like you can only get this experience here. There's a scene when the Billy puppet's like riding through the hallways and it hits a chair and he goes, ugh. And it cracks me up every fucking time.
That indescribable feeling we get when the lights flicker on and off. Somehow, self-amputation feels good in a place like this.
But it does go, it goes over the intestines because you hear it go clunk. And I was like, damn, that's well done.
Is he just like a turnkey, like wind up toy? What is it?
It must be battery powered.
He's got a Hemi engine.
Is it like a radio control thing?
Oh, that'd be so great. You see John Kramer. Fuck.
It's an app. It's an app.
Oh, okay. Everything's an app these days. But he rolls over there and
smoking like an old man.
Billy rolls up next to Mateo, and there's a camera above his head, and there's a spot on his cranium that's been shaved clean of hair, and there's a little tape player. And like Garrett said, he's like, nuh-uh, not doing it. And he's like, it doesn't work that way. Press play, goddammit.
Yeah, because if he doesn't do it, he gets like shocked or some shit through the chair.
So he hits play, and basically this trap is he's going to have to use a surgical tool to cut a hole in his cranium and use some tweezers to pull out a piece of his brain and drop it into a dissolvent that will then do what?
It closes a circuit somehow that opens the box so that he can get a key and unlock the lock that's got him.
Maybe you could have cut off anything and dropped it into the dissolvent. Did it have to be brain matter?
He just threw his skull to the ground. First, I was like, you're going to want that back, buddy. But also...
No, because John said it had to be brain matter.
Yeah, but how's John know? Fuck him.
He's watching it from the room.
Is he going to get down in 3 minutes before Mateo unlocks himself? Yeah. Take that pinky, baby.
Now, this one does suck, but actually probably one of the least bad. Because I learned from Silence of the Lambs, your brain has no nerve endings. Oh my God. So once he started pulling out his brain, it actually wouldn't have hurt him at all.
Well, he was going on and on about like the brain is resilient and will rewire itself.
Yeah, you can't just yank out a piece.
I feel like if I yanked a piece of brain, I was like, oh, I just lost all my ability to
He says that people have actually had like lateral like brain sections taken out and still like lived and it can even regrow.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to take that at his word. I think you're going to be pulling out memories. Oh, I forgot who my mom is.
Like, yeah, I'm sure you can survive, but it's not going to be a harmless situation. There's no extra brain. All right, you need all of your brain.
They only say we use like 7% of our brains.
Yeah, people who use 7% of their brain said that, but the rest of us are using all of our brain, and we need it. But
wasn't that the gist of Phenomenon?
yeah, use 100% of your brain, and suddenly he's a fucking genius.
Terrible John Travolta movie.
Shit. Anyway,
He cuts a square in his skull. Also, that was tough to watch.
that was the hardest part for me, is where he has to cut because I don't know if you guys have like ever had like saw stuff on your brain,
Nope.
on your skull. It is so fucking loud. It echoes in your head like a fucking engine.
I'm assuming the only thing closely relative to that is when I've gotten like jaw surgery or teeth surgery. You
Yeah.
just feel it in your entire
Ugh.
cranium.
You'd like smell the burning bone.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So anyway, he gets his head open. I'm sorry. I'm vetoing talking about this cut anyway.
Now that I think about it, all of those would smell so bad. Anyway,
He starts ripping pieces of his brain out and drop it in the thing.
and he fucking does it. He gets it done, and then it just slits. It's going to take a day and a half to dissolve at whatever pace they were showing in this movie, because it just very slowly starts to disintegrate.
It was unfortunate that like legitimately he did it and just didn't have enough time to let it dissolve.
The timer's got to change.
Yes.
I think that for me, I want to see a thing where these people can actually escape, because realistically 3 minutes is just not enough time. I don't know how many times we could say that.
Yeah.
Well, also, how much time does it take to get someone to actually like really accept and realize what they're doing? Like, that's the thing is for me, like, sure, I could do something really quick out of a survival instinct, but I may not have learned my lesson from just surviving. Like, I need to come to on my own terms, like to some time frame to like, okay, you know what? I do want to live, not just like a knee-jerk reaction. I want to live, because what have I learned out of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think like a minimum 5 minutes.
That's why Amanda got tested multiple times in the first couple Saw films, you know?
Yeah. 10-minute timer, I'm thinking.
That's just,
10
that would have been
minutes.
fair, yeah, but minimum 5, like, come on. But anyway, Mateo, poor dude, he gets we only see the back of it at first, right? There's like a big metallic contraption over his head, and we see a door that's open. You understand the concept. The door's going to close and kill him. So that's what happens. The door closes, and it's a big, like, Aztec head. It's the head from that statue that
Like an Iron Maiden type situation.
Yeah, it was just a toaster.
Yes.
Right? It's just like toast his face.
It cooks his head to death.
Speaking of smelling bad,
Oh, yeah.
could you imagine the burning hair and everything else? Whoa.
Can I interest you in some smoked Mateo?
But where did he
That
find
actually
time?
sounds like a fancy dish.
Yeah, it does, right?
Where did he find time?
I don't know.
To fucking ironically get a Aztec statue.
They
head.
sell these Iron
Amanda
Maiden.
sourced it, you guys. Just Amanda's the
Okay.
answer to all these
Fair
questions.
They
enough.
went to the Costco and they found an Aztec toaster and they split it in half and then jerry rigged it, you know?
Secretly,
Jerry!
Amanda is a logistics expert.
Yeah, it was a little silly. Like,
It
out of
was.
all of the trap stuff, that felt the most unbelievable. That leads me to the question: where do you think the traps rank amongst the Saw pantheon of traps? Saw 10's
I thought they were a little
traps.
too basic.
Well, if you take into consideration that he's got to make these on the fly in a country that he's not familiar
Yes,
with.
Not taking that into consideration, just overall, like out of the traps, these seem very basic. Now, I also would think, in the time frame, he also hasn't gotten like super creative as he did in later ones. But then at the same time, like, some of the early traps are pretty simplistic too. So I think they fit really nicely within like the early Saw 1 and 2 films of the traps that existed. But I think they fit well, but I also found them a little bit underwhelming. The gore was what sold them as opposed to the traps themselves.
I agree. For me, I think the trap that still stands out in my brain is like the grossest trap that we've seen. And I know they're all terrible, but it's still the one where those people got to saw through the webbings of their fingers until they fill up the jars
That's
of
right.
blood.
Oh, 4.
So it's like
Fuck
all those
that
saw
one.
blades just going
Yeah.
between your fingers and you just like all spaghetti appendages by the end of it.
Baby spaghetti.
That to me is like number one creepy fuck trap. I don't want to ever see that one, you know.
Yeah.
So in comparison, I think you're right. The traps were a little mild.
But they felt very natural for his early on stuff. You know, so
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
was cool with that.
I only rank the traps as could I make it through, and 0 out of 4 for these. Actually, I take that back. I would have made it through the very final one. We'll get there when we get there. But Cecilia's
the
trap,
bloodboarding one.
yeah, I would have definitely survived that trap.
The radiation one I would have been out of. No problem. I will break the shit out of my hand. I'll rip
Well,
the
let's get
skin
to that.
off.
So
Parker shows up at the facility, and he's like, got a gun, and he comes back, and it looks like he's coming to get revenge on Cecilia for also getting defrauded. Frauded, whatever. Scammed. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, scammed. So he comes in, he's like, I'm gonna do them both.
That money was for my kids. That was their college graduation
And
money.
John's like, no, they have a right to blah blah blah. And he's like, and then of course now we get this whole point. He's like, you guys are just murderers. He's like, nope, they have a choice. They can keep living. And he's like, no, this is kind of fucked
Yeah.
up. And then at this point, if you're halfway cognizant of the Saw franchise, you're like, this dude is in on it.
There wasn't a moment I thought this guy was legit. Like the minute he walked on screen, I was like, "Oh, he's in on the whole fucking thing." And then
I guess I'm the mark. I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
John Kramer takes the gun away and he's like, "What are you doing here, Parker? You know what's the deal?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "My money. I'm gonna get him
Back for blood, baby.
So he conveniently John Kramer has the gun. He puts it away in a locker.
Okay.
And he straps him to a chair. He's like, "Watch. Here's what we're doing with these people."
Make sure we talk about this gun in the final scene because there's some bullshit that happens with this gun that I am not okay with in this movie.
It was so stupid.
Where John Kramer empties out the gunpowder of the bullets and then puts the bullets back in the clip, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Just take the bullets out.
Yeah, that'd be the
stupidest shit ever.
But I guess
anyway.
he'd expect them to check if they were bullets.
Yeah.
Yes.
But people do that because you can refill bullets.
I know you can, but the fact that he
It would take him
did
forever.
It's just like how much time do you have here?
Yeah.
Anyway,
At some point, I guess they knock Parker out, and that's when they empty
They
it.
knock him out when he shoots like a pig person.
he shoots
but it turns
Valentina's body inside the pig mask.
Oh, right.
And the head rolls off, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then Amanda basically knocks him out and says, "Come in like a criminal, get treated like a criminal." And so while he's knocked out, that's when John does the bullet thing, and they chain him to a chair. Pee-wee bike style to the clown.
it'd be like, lady, you're all fucking criminals. We're all criminals here.
Get off your fucking high horses here.
Yeah, totally.
Get off your high tricycles.
And now it's Gabriella's turn.
So she wakes up. I guess they knock her out too because they don't show her getting strung up. No, they do.
No,
They do.
she's
They saw her
already
get
chained, yeah.
So they retract the chains. One's around a leg. One's around her hand. And she goes up into the air.
Think Michael Jordan going for a dunk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So she's now suspended in the air with these chains connected to her with a giant.
Like a chemotherapy machine.
It's
A
radiation lamp of some kind, right?
Which is what they actually do. They actually have radiation lamps, and they block a certain area, and they just radiate the hell out of a certain part of your body.
So a little tape player's dangling there, and they're like, "You better play the tape."
And I don't know if you guys have any experience with someone going through radiation. It is fucking brutal. It is very painful.
I believe it.
Sorry for all you actual cancer patients out there.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Fuck cancer. That's a
real.
great. Yeah, that's a GraveTalk endorsed opinion.
All right, great hot take.
Yeah, we hate cancer.
So they play the tape. Hey, Gabriella, you want to play a game? No, he never says want to play a game on the tapes.
No.
He does at one point. He does say at one point, it was like, "I want to play a game." I think it was when he was first introducing everyone to the whole thing. But yeah, he does
end it the same. It's always live or die. Make your choice. Right. That's at the end of every tape. So
I think he like workshopped that. He's like, live or die, decide. No, don't like it.
live or die, if you will. Oh, wait, no.
Too
no,
formal,
no,
too
no.
formal.
She's up there and she's told like, "Hey, you see this sledgehammer that's conveniently just kind of hooked up to the ceiling right next to you?"
Peter Gabriel nods in agreement.
He's like, "You got to take that and you got to bash on your foot and hand until you slide out from the chain shackle and you will tumble to the ground and survive." Meanwhile, this radiation lamp is going to continually go up in amps until you get toasted like a fucking marshmallow. 3 minutes on the clock. And she, again, resists, as they all would, as any normal person would do. Like, okay, she takes out the sledgehammer.
Well,
and
Cecilia's like, "You have to do this. This is easy." And she's not wrong. This is the easiest.
she's like,
trap
"If you
anyone's
don't
been in."
do it, we'll never escape." And if that was me, I was like, "Nobody's escaping, you fool."
Lady, what makes you think any of us are getting out of here?
Yeah, but she's trying to encourage her on. And then she says, "Do the foot first." So
Good
that way
idea.
you'll swing out of the way of the lamp. And it's like, okay, at least she's giving her a little pointer there. But she takes that sledge and she whacks away at her foot. And part of me is like, wouldn't your foot start to swell? And then maybe you couldn't get it out of that shackle anyway?
It's delayed.
break the bones hard enough, like you can still pull it through.
Yeah, it would swell, but probably not immediately.
Okay.
Also, you're calling it a sledgehammer. Like, it's really more like a ballpoint hammer.
Was it? I thought it looked like a sledgehammer.
No, it wasn't full.
It couldn't be a sledge. I mean, she's like a
mini-
5 foot tall lady. She was
Well,
never
okay.
swinging one hand swinging a sledgehammer.
It was definitely like some kind of like large.
That's
map.
fair. They are heavy.
Yeah.
But she managed to get the foot free.
Also, you're wrong about that. The foot first. I mean, because the thing, if you break your hand, you fall to the ground. The thing's hoisted in the air. The radiation lamp was hoisted in the air. They'd have to lower it to the ground to get to her. She just break her foot in that time. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, the fall would suck a little bit more because
just
you'd be
falling
chained.
either way,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, exactly. So yeah, get out of the way of the lamp because the thing is chained to the ceiling. Guess what?
Well, Mark, you and I would have definitely not figured that. I was like, good idea with the foot.
Yeah.
Well, that one happened, and I was all like, done. Like I was like immediately like, this is the easiest thing ever. Like no one's gotten off easier than this person. And I wonder if that was on purpose because of the way Amanda thought about it. John gave her a trap that she could easily survive.
She felt a little less culpable in the whole scheme of things because she was just kind of in the building, right?
Yeah, but I think he not hates, but because these are all their choice. But I think he wants to get her the most because for some reason he like fancies her, not fancies her, but he's like,
yeah, he felt a real life connection to her
because they
as a
both had
person.
cancer. It's supposedly she obviously didn't because she said that she had cancer.
Yeah,
that was like
right.
the whole thing. Like, all right, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Like what was even her purpose? Because he meets another cancer survivor later.
Probably just to add to the mystique of this actually
I'm
being
sure
true.
She just sourced things around town as part of the scam. But
So,
anyway,
poor
she
her.
gets out of it. Basically,
She swings away.
Yeah, she swings away, and the thing moves. The radiation lamp moves in front of her again. You're like, oh, you're not getting away that easy. Then she breaks her hand hard enough and falls to the ground.
And she survives.
Yeah, well,
Sort of. She
survives the trap, though.
yeah,
Yes,
she's
she does.
definitely gonna get cancer though.
John Kramer comes over here and is like, we need to get her to a hospital immediately. And that's when, from behind, comes Parker Sears with the revolver.
And he's like, not so fast, my dude. And then he's like, she survived. She needs medical help. And he's like, oh, really? And then like, Cecilia?
He lets Cecilia out of her shackles, and she just walks over and steps on Gabriella's neck.
Breaks her neck. Bam,
Poor
she's dead.
Gabriella.
She's donezo.
And I don't really know why she did that.
Because she's going to tie up all the loose ends. Because
Yeah.
remember, John's like,
Oh,
she's going
right.
to kill you all. You know, do you really think that she's going to leave these loose
So
ends
is Cecilia
around?
killing all of her players or when she does this grift around the world?
Disposable?
I don't think so, but I think she saw the opportunity and was like, fuck it.
More money
she
for
does.
me.
Exactly, yeah.
I think she does.
No, maybe. I guess we'll never know.
The only
but-
way to like, you know, what the best kept secret is one that's never told. You know, like
I think I'd rather pay the people off than have to deal with a potential murder investigation by the police.
True,
but
fair.
you know, what do I know?
We all make choices.
I'm not a fake doctor.
That's true.
I'm not a fake doctor. But
I did-
Technically, you are a fake doctor.
Well, that's
You're
true.
not a real doctor.
If I claim to be one, then I am immediately a fake doctor.
But you did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
So basically, at this point, Parker, not Marcus, Parker and Cecilia are like, finally, okay, we're out of this. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You know, I'd do anything for you. And then Amanda's like, she's just going to kill you too. And he's like, shut your mouth. They kill Gabriella, as we said. And then at this point, they chain Amanda to the floor. So she's just chilling. And then they put John, they're like, okay, let's put you in the last trap. And at some point when they're having this conversation, they hear a bang, bang, bang outside. And it's little Johnny Football, you know, outside kicking the soccer ball into the side of the warehouse. And then they're like, go get that kid.
I think his name's Carlos.
Carlos. Okay. And then they bring him inside and they're like, and then Cecilia's like, I want to know what trap you had planned for me. So she puts John Kramer and Carlos into this trap. And he's like, you can't do this. That kid's innocent. And she's like, I don't give a shit.
It's like, I don't have a moral code like you.
Yeah,
Like, damn.
pretty
Well,
much.
like-
And she's like, well, you know, you can let this kid die and survive, or you can die. And this is where we get the Chekhov's line.
Yeah, he tells the kid, like, don't. So there's two handles next to where they're strapped into. And he's like,
On the ground, they're laying down.
yeah. And he's like, don't pull the handle. Do not pull. And they
Spanish word is halar.
Okay, no holla. So then it starts to lift up and blood just starts pouring down on John Kramer.
It's like a seesaw.
Yes.
Get it? Seesaw. Ooh. Bam.
Why wasn't this one called Seesaw?
Because when you're done, you saw.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a seesaw thing, and basically whoever's higher up
Doesn't have
doesn't
blood.
have blood basically waterboarding them to death. Whoever's lower does. So John Kramer's going to basically bloodboard himself to death to save Carlos. But
And
Carlos,
Cecilia did she's like, oh, I get it. It's like waterboarding,
Yeah.
but with blood. And my immediate thought was, where did they source all this fucking blood?
Great
pig
question.
blood, pig heads, done.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Dude,
Mexico, they start.
I need
Mexico.
400 gallons of pig blood, please.
It was so much blood.
Amanda's been there for like 4 weeks. Anyway,
so they seesaw for a while, and
Carlos actually takes the blood. He's
One
like,
time,
Yo,
yeah.
I got you, John.
he tries to do it more, but John holds the lever down so that he can't, pull it away. And so eventually, Parker and Cecilia get bored watching this, and they're like, let's just go get the fucking money and get out of here.
Which is supposedly upstairs in the control room.
And so they go upstairs, and it turns out this was all part of the plan.
I wouldn't have left until John Kramer was dead.
Right. Well, they were so high on themselves, right? Because Cecilia was like, I knew who you were. And somehow she's like, when I knew that you were Jigsaw, I was worried. But then I was like, I'm going to fuck this guy up.
Or just stay there and be like, honey, I'm going to watch this dude who tried to kill me die. Why don't you go upstairs and get the money?
Yeah, this is not a 2-person job.
Did she figure out he was Jigsaw after the scam or before?
It was before. She figured it. She's like, when I had the opportunity to actually like do this to the.
She's fucking stupid
So
as hell.
dumb.
That's
Again,
the dumbest
it goes
fucking
back
move
to
ever.
Hoffman's line in the middle of the credits scene where he's all like, "You picked John Kramer to fuck with, you dummy," and it's like, there you go, you're out of your league, people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stay
that's-
out of it, Donnie.
That was messed up. So yeah, they go into the room and then the door shuts.
Well,
right?
they pull the bag with the money in it supposedly, and that pulls a ripcord, which starts the whole. The doors close, they seal, the room starts filling with gas. But now once this starts happening,
And there's also no money in the duffel. It's
No.
like magazines
Yeah.
or something.
And they get a 10-minute timer.
yes,
Lucky. I guess because there's 2 of them. Then be
drink
6
it in,
minutes. But
boys.
Maybe that's how long it takes for the gas to fully envelop the room.
oh, maybe. Okay.
maybe. And so at this point, though, the trap that John is in shuts off because this means, hey, we got him, boys. And John basically unchains himself. He goes to Carlos and he's like, "You did good, kid."
Tells him you're a warrior. The
It
kid
is.
speaks no English though, so he did not understand anything you were saying.
So up in the room, basically, Marcus and
Parker.
Parker and Posey is upstairs, and the gas starts deteriorating their skin. It's like VX gas from The Rock, and so he's like, "Only one of you can survive. There's a hole for your head to go through, but it's still going to eat your body away."
I don't know because she seemed fine. Like she wasn't screaming in pain when she had
some
her
stuff on her arms. You could see it.
Yeah, very confusing, but whatever.
Anyway, so basically, one of you can put your head through the hole and survive this trap. The other one's going to die. Make your choice. And she basically goes to kill Marcus. And then Marcus...
Parker.
Okay, you guys. Jesus. How long have we been doing this podcast? You know I don't remember names.
But you made up a name.
Yeah,
You
there's no
applied
one,
it to this character the entire
And you should
episode.
appreciate my commitment to it, okay?
there's no one named Marcus in this whole film.
So Parker and her get in a fight, and then she basically ends up killing...
But she shivs him.
Yeah,
And
she ends
then
up
goes
killing
up.
Parker.
Like that dude's bleeding out for good.
yeah.
So he falls to the ground. She puts her head through, and she's watching like John and everyone like leave with the money, and she's like, "Kramer, you son of a bitch!"
This also brings one of my least favorite parts about Saw.
Which
when
does
they-
she live though? Hold on, that's the question: is did she live through this? Because one person gets to live through this.
I'd assume she survives.
Yeah, but she's got to be like horribly.
Sequel.
Yeah, the sequel's called Saw 2.
It already exists.
But
Saw Double X.
Saw 10 too.
But my one of my least favorite Saw tropes is when they do that thing where they are trying to tell you the story
They
and they
flash
cut
everything back.
But
Well,
it's like we
we
saw
gotta-
this 5 seconds ago.
But we got to hear the song. It's the reveal, the twisty
Yeah.
music. Meep, meep, meep.
Exactly what it sounds like.
And it's like, okay, we know, we watched it.
Yeah, they cut back to like 30 seconds ago when their Amanda's like, she's gonna kill you too, while he's being stabbed, and it's like, bro, I know, I was there.
Almost every Saw movie does this, where they recap the entirety of the movie to show you, aha, it was all part of John Kramer's plan.
This was a very,
surprise.
very, very weak aha moment.
Yeah.
It was non-existent.
Do you feel that these movies actually need that?
Not anymore.
I did like they explained how he found out about Parker, right? It turns out Diego told him when he was patching him up, he gave him all the names, and he's like, Parker Posey was in on it as well. And that's
Marcus.
or Marcus. That's how he found out. So that was like an actual reveal. I don't need to be reminded of what I literally just watched. Don't need it.
But they do that. It's been since part 1, so they lean back into that heavily. So anyway,
It was less of a aha and more of a uh-huh.
Yeah.
We get it.
remember this? And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we do.
But when does now become now?
So John Kramer gives the bag of money to Carlos, and he's like, here you go feed your family.
Arguably like $1 million or some
Yeah.
shit in American cash.
I guess John Kramer's rich, because that's a blow I could not absorb.
No. Especially funding all these traps.
Yeah, maybe the city planning gig just really paid off. You
It's
know
like
what I mean?
a PBS drive. It's just all like, these traps brought to you by folks like you who donate to
He has a Jigsaw Patreon.
I would love to see the city that John Kramer planned.
It's like just a death trap city.
Detroit. Anyway,
The red lights are on a 3-minute timer.
Yes.
so she survives. Based off
Assumingly,
this thing.
we don't know.
Okay, cool. She's coming back in a sequel. Done.
Could be.
Next year when we get Saw 11.
But
this is what's
like
gonna
you
happen.
said,
Your skin though,
Tobin
must
Bell is
be-
81. I don't know how many more times we can do this.
They're gonna go backwards. They're gonna because we are
young John Kramer.
Yes, because we know he's already been doing this by the time Saw 1 comes
so
up.
while he's city planning, do you think he was trapping people in like cement and shit?
Maybe.
No, because it's not until his wife miscarries does he actually like.
So there's like a window of time though where they can really mine for movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so he gives Carlos the money, and they open the door, and the light floods in, and the most stereotypical bullshit ending. I hate when movies do this crap. It's like, everything's gonna be okay. The light is cleansed, and it's like, fuck off. I know it works. I know it's a trope that is successful, but I hated when they opened the door and everything stopped being blue, and it was like bright white, and they walk into it, and it fades into the white, and then boom, credits.
But then we do get a mid-credit scene where John finds Henry, and he wakes up in the original warehouse of Saw number 1. He's hung up and reveals the scar is not there anymore, and there's now a contraption that looks like little spider tendril legs that is just going to eat up his stomach. And yes, Hoffman makes his appearance the first time in the movie. He's like, yeah, you picked John Kramer to fuck with? No, you a dummy?
What is
dummy?
You big dummy.
What like there's so many moving parts to this scam that like I mean I'm sure things like this exist, but so Henry's job was to go to support groups, find marks, send them to a website where then a fake website they all set up to have Cecilia call them, pretend that they're booked but they just have an opening in this country, can you get there very quickly, where they then set up this whole elaborate procedure to trick somebody, and then what? I guess they get money. And then they do this all over again.
And vanish into the ether or whatever they say, and then do it all again somewhere else.
They don't have to try this hard. People are making bank just calling up people and going, "Hey, we're from the Social Security Administration. Can you send us gift cards?"
I want to see a Saw movie where he starts trapping those phone call scammer people.
There is a movie coming out. I saw a trailer for this. I don't remember what it's called now, but it has what the fuck is the guy from the Meg? What's his name?
Oh,
Statham?
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
He's like a beekeeper or something, and his mom, or I could not piece it all together from the trailer, but gets tricked by this scammer.
And he goes and beats the shit out of him.
And it turns out it's part of this huge like conspiracy. It's just the most bananas fucking trailer I ever saw.
Okay, all right.
So someone is making your movie.
That sounds good to me. What other jobs can we pretend Jason Statham does in these stupid action films? Anyway, that's Saw 10.
Did you guys notice that Charlie Clouser did the soundtrack for this?
He returned, right? He's done all of them, I think.
I think he did quite a few of them, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
Charlie Clouser of Nine Inch Nails fame. So
That's cool. I mean, it was a good soundtrack. It fit. It felt like a Saw movie.
this really did feel like it belonged within Saw 1 through 3.
Yes, definitely.
And I appreciate the fact that they made it. They went back to some of the same camera shots, some of the same tropes and stuff that really did make it feel like it fit. Okay, if you're gonna tap back into that nostalgia, like back to true to form, okay, go for it.
I think for me, this movie just literally had to be better than half the rest of the series, and it succeeded.
Agreed.
So I approve it. I would recommend watching this one if you're a fan of the first couple Saw films.
I've recommended it if you're a fan of Saw. If you're not, you may or may not dig it. I'm just really bummed out we're not getting the spiral
Verse
concept of where
I don't think that was ever supposed to be more than one film, though. That was
I thought it was. I thought it was supposed to be like the Halloween
the
3
book of
type
Saw,
thing.
right? It's just going to be one chapter into this whole story
I
that
thought it
is
was supposed
Saw.
to be like the future Saw films were going to be like different takes on
Well,
people who
sure.
were inspired.
Maybe
by
that was
Jigsaw and
the
stuff.
idea.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I thought it was.
But it
supposed
wouldn't
to
be like Chris Rock continuation.
No.
or
I'm
anything.
cool with like the next time it was like Andy Richter and I don't know. I'm just saying. But
I think like that they've tried that now and it just doesn't work. It never takes. Every
I
time
don't think people are committed to it. It's much like how Marvel will change a character and the fans will lose their shit and they're like, shut the fuck up and see what we do with this. And then eventually everyone's like, oh, this is rad.
Yeah, I mean, it works on TV. That's what American Horror Story does. Every season is a completely new story.
But I think you have to
Commit to it though.
But you have to do that out the gate.
Yes.
You can't just wait for 5 movies to hit and then start trying
I
something
don't think
different.
so.
More
I
like
think
8
you can do it,
movies.
but you have to do it right. You have to commit to it, and you can't give it up. You can't fall back into nostalgia because then all the fans that are just like, I want my Star Wars to be Skywalkers only.
But apparently-
we get fucking Force Awakens or whatever, Jedi Knight caviar. I don't remember what the last one was called.
I get what you're
the
saying.
Skywalker.
Jedi Knight caviar was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just words flowing out of my mouth at this point.
But I mean, the market speaks, right? When one movie doesn't make its budget back and one movie crushes its budget in like its opening weekend, we know what people want to see.
No, I mean, it's what you know, I guess. But anyway, Saw 10. I recommend it if you like Saw films. I say pass if you're not a big Saw film person.
Yeah, I echo that. I mean, if you don't like Saw movies, you're not going to like this one. But if you like Saw, this is definitely one of the better ones that's come out in a long time.
I still would take the original over any of them.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
the fact that this one rated higher doesn't really mean anything to me. But I think we kind of nailed it. I think it's definitely a different taste of critics.
Different sign of the times,
Yeah,
as you guys said.
so-
I will have to I didn't even think about that, but I will have to totally agree with that. But so Saw 10, you know.
Yeah, recommended by 3 of us. That's all of us if you're counting.
Hold on. Yep. Math
Okay.
checks out.
Well, next time, as we said, we're going to be doing The Exorcist True Believer.
No, just Believer.
Believer.
Oh, just Believer. Exorcist
You
Believer.
made me a believer. Wait, is that Imagine Dragons? Is that what that is? I don't know.
I don't know any of their songs.
Daydream Believer. Was that by...
I have no idea. Anyway.
Monkeys.
Anyway, that'll be up next. Get it watched. It's still in theaters. I'll go watch it next week. And apparently John's the only person on planet Earth that likes it.
I'm going to watch it a second time for you.
Whoa.
Well, let me know when you're going to go, man. I might go with you.
All right. It'll probably be when we record. Saturday, Sunday. So probably Saturday.
Figure it out.
Next Saturday.
We'll make it work somehow, you guys.
Well, that's it from us for this episode. You can find everything we're doing at the www.gravetalk.com. I hadn't used the www in a while. I wanted to say it.
I like how you said www so fast twice in a row.
Yeah.
I got
Talent.
good at it. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Not X, it's Twitter.
And if you guys are interested, in the month of October, I am watching horror movies in the bathtub, and I will be randomly just posting which ones you should be checking out. So, bathtub recommendations, you're welcome.
Are these going to be horror movies that involve the bathtub?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just in general. I mean, even though it's not a super big horror movie, I did The Crow a couple days ago. So,
Okay.
you know, just... It's Halloween. It's spooky
Yeah.
season. You know, like, you guys are going to get a little scary and scary.
'Tis the season to tub and scream. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Up and scream.
Yeah.
Eat, sleep, and be scary.
All right, we'll see you next time.